bahwa sebagai orang tua saya harus begini, sebagai anak saya harus begitu. Tapi ketika meleburkan semuanya, mendudukkan sebagai teman bertumbuh, di situ akan muncul pengertian bahwa semuanya akan bertumbuh apa adanya, sesuai dengan perannya, sesuai dengan kurikulum kehidupannya, dan disitulah akan tercipta keluarga yang harmonis. Dan harmonis itu bukan sekali jadi. Harmonis adalah pembelajaran yang diulang-ulang. Harmonis adalah sesuatu yang diupayakan setiap hari. Oleh karena itu pembelajarannya dilakukan kapanpun dan dimanapun, ditumbuhkan dalam keseharian, karena sekali lagi hubungan parenting adalah hubungan pembelajaran seumur hidup. Maka siapapun yang sedang merasa terluka, terima, sadari bahwa luka adalah tempat untuk bertumbuh, karena di dalam luka, di situ ada pencerahan. Terima kasih.
Good morning, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, and the world. Rise and shine, everyone, and happy Friday. Yes, the tie is off and the weekend's just around the corner. It is the 19th of January, 2024, and just past 6 in the a.m., a little bit gloomy and wet here in central Jakarta. Nevertheless, though, it's always bright and happy inside the studio as we get set to bring you all the latest news and updates from Indonesia and beyond. And today we have got your daily sports entertainment as well as business roundups, along with a couple of talk shows that we will be discussing momentarily as well. But first, let's say hello to the Friday squad. We've got Caroline and Alin. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Very
Happy
cheerful.
Friday.
I am very happy. I love the weekend.
Happy New Year. 'Cause
Happy
we haven't
belated New
met
Year.
yet.
That's
This
right,
is like first
finally.
time. It's mid-February. No,
mid-
January. Hello. It's mid-January, but it is raining, as Paul mentioned. Again, it's sunny and bright, just like our wardrobe for today. Good morning, everyone. I'm Caroline Sarahma, right here on the C Morning Show, as well as our roundup at our show and our program. We're going to have a couple of talk show. One talk show that's going to be led by Alin is in regards of economic challenges during the election year. The other talk show is going to be led by Popolala, of course, our sportsman right here in our program, where he's going to talk about the Asian Cup prediction. And also, I heard a little bonus for the Garuda squad if they would win some games.
It's a definite must-win because we did lose our
That's right.
openers. So.
That's
So
right.
if they get bonus, where should they invest it? That's what we're going to discuss
During the
in this
election
segment
year.
with a chief economist from Permata Bank, Joshua Pardede. We will look at the outlook of 2024. Macroeconomic as well as the challenges from the domestic and international or external risk that we may face, and how we can put or strategize our investment to get or to reap optimum result. I'm Alin Ratmaja, and I would like to greet our viewers that are now able to tune in from Foxtel Splash Australia, Macau Cable TV Channel 84, Vision Philippines Channel 58, Air Cable Philippines and Singtel Singapore Channel 15, and StarHub Channel 720. All right, let's start the show with our headlines of today.
Footage shot by an activist shows the aftermath of a Pakistani airstrike on Iran that has taken the lives of at least 9 people.
And from the Southeast Asia region, at least 23 people have been killed in a fireworks factory explosion in Thailand's central province of Suphanburi.
A video of village locals in Pesisir Barat Regency in Lampung who were transporting a deceased using a rubber tire on a fast-flowing river has gone viral.
And good news from the world of sports as Indonesia now has one representative in the quarterfinals of the 2024 India Open as Anthony Sinisuka Ginting defeated Japan's Kenta Nishimoto in the round of 16. All right, any plans for the weekends, guys?
Yeah, I'm going to Lembang because my husband's going to be there for the next 7 months. So weekend is going to be going back and forth. By the way, I rode whoosh now for about 5 times.
Oh, you've gone back.
Yesterday it was a whoosh at 9 o'clock. There, we arrived there at 9:45. Went to Bandung. I have a meeting at 10 o'clock. We got there 10:15. Back here in Jakarta by 3 o'clock.
Oh, you made a day trip back and forth.
Yes. So like a lunch, like you were saying before, whoosh
Right.
was actually, operating. Had lunch in Bandung, come back here again, and be with the
Feels
kids.
surreal, right? Like the
I
first-
know.
Weird.
25 minutes, by the way. Always on the dot. By the way, if they're like going to be late for 1 minute, they would say, the train is going to be late for 1 minute.
Oh,
Like,
they know
Even
exactly.
the announcement is not done yet. The train is already arriving at the station. Loved it.
Yeah, and if you've ever been on the toll going
Yes.
in or out of Jakarta and happened to see the whoosh going by,
Yeah.
that's surreal as well.
That's right.
It's like going 3 times as fast. I feel like, am I just parked? What's going on here? Yeah, it's amazing. How about you, Alan? Any big plans for the weekend?
I'm just going to have this seminar on bullying.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
how
important.
schools can tackle bullying issues at schools.
All right. Well, let us know how that goes. I'd definitely be interested in that. Anyway, we do have some world news to get to here in our first block, beginning with our top story, as trucks could be seen passing through the Rafah crossing into Gaza on Thursday.
Senior UN officials have warned that Gaza faces widespread famine and disease if more aid is not allowed in.
Israel has completely sealed off Gaza and only relented under U.S. pressure. It says there are now no limits on the entry of humanitarian aid and that UN agencies could reduce the delays by providing more workers and trucks.
However, UN officials have said that aid delivery is hobbled by the opening of too few border crossings, as well as the slow vetting process and fighting throughout the territory, all of which are largely under Israel's control.
A shipment of medicine for dozens of hostages held by Hamas arrived in Gaza on Wednesday as part of a French and Qatar-mediated deal that marked the first agreement between Israel and the militant group since a week-long ceasefire in November.
Meanwhile, the deal could bring some respite to approximately 100, some of the 100 hostages who remain in captivity, as well as to Palestinians in Gaza who are in desperate need of aid. Israeli forces have withdrawn from the Nur Shams refugee camp in the West Bank on Thursday, leaving mass destruction in its wake.
Houses and streets were reduced to rubble and essential utilities such as water and electricity were severely disrupted.
Local residents expressed their anguish and frustration at the destruction left behind by the departing forces. Meanwhile, the Israel army was still present in the Tukam city on Thursday.
In other news, activists had footages of videos showed the aftermath of a Pakistani airstrikes on Iran that killed at least 9 people.
Footage from the campaign of Baluch activists showed the scene on Thursday in Saravan in Iran's Sistan and Baluchistan provinces.
Pakistan's Air Force has launched retaliatory airstrikes in Iran, allegedly targeting militant positions. The attack early on Thursday further raised tensions between the neighboring nations.
The strikes in Sistan and Baluchistan province follow Iran's attack on Tuesday on Pakistani soil that killed 2 children in the southwestern of the province. The attacks Tuesday and Thursday appeared to target separate Baluch militant groups that the 2 countries have allegedly found safe havens in the other.
And these strikes have impacted diplomatic relations between the 2 neighbors, as Iran and nuclear-armed Pakistan have long regarded each other with suspicion over militant attacks. The attacks also raised the threat of violence spreading across the Middle East, unsettled by Israel's war with Hamas in the Gaza Strip.
Meanwhile, in Indonesia, heavy rains on early Thursday morning resulted in flooding in a number of areas.
A school in Sidoarjo, East Java, and a housing complex in the West Bangka Regency of Bangka Belitung Islands were among those that were affected.
Heavy rain that fell at Sidoarjo Regency from Wednesday afternoon until early Thursday morning resulted in flooding to a number of schools, such as Banjarsari Elementary School and Tanggulangin Public Junior High School too. It caused quite a disruption. The teachers, along with some students, had to clean their classes from the water before continuing with their day. At Tanggulangin Public Junior High School too, as many as 10 classes were inundated with water up to 15 centimeters in height. The school's toilets were also unable to be used due to flooding. The school management are still trying to clear out the flood water using water pumps. But they are also staying cautious because the rain has not subsided for these past few days. Meanwhile, at a number of sub-districts in West Bangka Regency, flood returned on Wednesday evening. Heavy rain have fallen in the area since the afternoon, making the river to overflow and flood the homes of the residents. Although their houses were inundated with water, the residents decided to stay. They said that this is the worst flooding in recent history. Until Thursday morning, a joint team from the National Search and Rescue Agency, the Regional Disaster Management, along with the Armed Force and the police, are standing by at several points to assist the locals and monitor the flooded areas. See Today contributor reporting from East Java and Bangka Belitung Islands.
And our next update is one of the headliners where a video of village locals in Pesisir Barat Regency in Lampung who were transporting a deceased using a rubber tire on a fast-flowing river has gone viral.
The viral video prompted the Pesisir Barat Regency government to agree to build a 20-meter bridge to the cemetery.
This is the viral video of a number of locals transporting a body of the deceased on the river using a rubber tire. There's no bridge linking the village to the cemetery. What happened at Pemerihan Village, Pesisir Barat Regency Lampung last Tuesday gained a lot of public's attention. The locals were seen to pull the body as hard as they can while fighting the strong currents. They managed to bring it to the other side of the river where the cemetery is located. The head of Pemerihan Village, Subantoro, said that the condition has been like this for decades for the locals to bury their loved ones. The residents also hope that the governments can provide assistance because they lack of budget to build a bridge to the cemetery.
Makam ini sebenarnya memang masuk di kategori tanah TN. Cuman untuk pihak dari Balai Besar, waktu pertama saya dilantik saya menanyakan kepada pihak Balai, dinyatakan oleh pihak Balai dengan syarat lisan dan tertulis sehingga masuk kategori tanah religi wisata. Kita diizinkan untuk mendirikan bangunan. Cuman ada kendala sedikit mengingat anggaran pemerintah pekon dari DD ini untuk fisik mungkin sangat minim. Untuk keinginan masyarakat kami sangat-sangat dibutuhkan untuk pembangunan jembatan gantung.
Because of the viral video, Pesisir Barat Region Agus Istiqlal has coordinated with authorities to allocate the funds to build a bridge this year.
Pelatin baru Subiantoro datang ke menghadap saya. Dia melaporkan kepada saya agar Bupati merestui pembuatan jembatan lewat DD, lewat anggaran desa. Tetapi tadi saya telepon nggak kuat karena anggaran itu di atas 500 mungkin 600, sehingga saya panggil Kadis PU untuk menganggarannya. Maka dari itu mudah-mudahan setelah anggaran kita berjalan, jembatan warga kekuburan itu akan kita buat. Lebarnya lebih kurang 2,5 meter dan panjangnya lebih kurang 20 meter.
The bridge for locals to go to cemetery in the South Bukit Barisan National Park area will be built along 20 meters. See Today contributor reporting from Pesisir Barat, Lampung.
And that last story brings us to our first short break of the program. We have more news out of Indonesia. That's coming up when we return here on this C Morning Show. Stay with us.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar dia itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Awalnya nggak tahu kalau itu kanker tulang. Divonisnya harus amputasi, baru tahu. Gasan, papa kan kakinya 1, Gasan kan kakinya 2, Gasan jalannya biasa. Papa juga punya kaki robot.
Maaf Kang Dani, Anda menganggap tetap ini sebagai sebuah kebaikan dari Allah?
Jangan sampai disia-siakan kesempatan itu. Saksikan kisah saya, Dr. Gigi Muhammad Nur Ramadhani, di Teman Bicara Maman.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport. You don't have to be good with your foot. You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different than baguette. So with those appetite and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
A group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Bahkan brosurnya aja Pak, saya udah pelan-pelanin jalan, ditegur, Mas cepetan gitu. Ini bisa baca perilaku kamu sekalian, kita mau baca tarot nggak? Iya.
Oh iya, Sar.
Sama mana tangan kamu?
Keren banget, mau Om.
Hi everyone, welcome back. You're still with us here on the C Morning Show. As mentioned prior to the break, we've got more news for you out of Indonesia. The Sultan Hasanuddin Air Base held a basic survival exercise to respond to natural disasters on Thursday.
And the basic survival exercise aims to provide an understanding for air crews of the principles in dealing with emergencies in order to survive before help arrives.
The Air Base commander reiterated to the exercise participants to uphold the discipline and the honor of the unit and face the situations on the field with high spirits.
The exercise was attended by air crews from Air Wing 5, Air Squadron 5, Air Squadron 11, Air Squadron 33, Engineering Squadron 044, as well as the National Search and Rescue Agency and the Mandai Regional Police.
Jadi kegiatan survival dasar ini adalah kegiatan rutin tahunan yang kita laksanakan di awal tahun. Nanti di tengah tahun kita lanjutkan dengan survival tempur dengan tingkat konsentrasi latihan yang lebih tinggi. Kita di survival dasar melaksanakan proses latihan sifatnya adalah refresh kembali pada hal-hal yang berhubungan dengan situasi kritis, sehingga peserta yaitu survivor butuh pengenalan kembali seperti apa situasi di laut maupun di hutan dalam kondisi yang sulit atau emergensi. Kita libatkan semuanya kita libatkan, bahkan dari pihak kepolisian maupun dari Sarnas dari daerah, supaya sama-sama mengenal situasi dan wilayah sekitar kita, sehingga instansi terkait, instansi stakeholder yang ada semuanya memahami apa yang harus dilakukan apabila kita memang betul-betul menghadapi situasi.
And now we're going to head to Central Sulawesi, where Pertamina Patraniaga and the police on Thursday collaborated for the provision of 35 billion rupiah worth of fuel and lubricants for operational purposes.
All fuel and lubricants were purchased to support the local authorities and their operations, with more supplies expected as the general elections near. Fuel purchased by the Central Sulawesi Police were those of the non-subsidized and industrial categories.
The 35 billion rupiahs worth of fuel will cover 17 units under the Central Sulawesi Police, as well as other local precincts. The non-subsidized fuel purchased were part of the special quota set among both public gas stations and stations that are designated for the police. None of the fuel taken were those from supplies allocated for the public.
Khusus ditambahkan di SPBU penitipan namanya. Jadi bukan BBM masyarakat yang diambil Polri ini, tapi ini jatahnya Polri sendiri. Ya, nilai kontraknya secara total tadi disampaikan Pak Karo adalah 35 miliar untuk setahun. Itu adalah untuk kontrak BBM reguler. Jadi di luar nanti misalnya ada Pilpres ya, itu biasanya ada kontrak tambahan lagi. Atau misalnya ada pengamanan, Natal dan Tahun Baru, atau Idul Fitri.
Indonesian President Joko Widodo has sworn in new Constitutional Court Judge Arsul Sani at the Presidential Palace.
The ceremony saw all Constitutional Court judges gather at the palace yesterday.
The swearing-in ceremony commenced at around 10 a.m. and was also attended by former Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court, Mahfud MD, and several high-ranking Indonesian officials.
Arsul Sani, the former Deputy Speaker of the People Consultative Assembly, was appointed as a Constitutional Court Judge in 2023. He will replace soon-to-be retired Judge Wahidudin Adams.
Arsul Sani addressed public concerns regarding his former career in the House of Representatives and his position in the Partai Persatuan Pembangunan, or United Development Party. He has assured independence and impartiality in his new position.
Nah, saya ingin menyampaikan, tentu tidak sekedar nanti hanya disampaikan, tapi harus dibuktikan dalam kerja-kerja proses mengadili perkara-perkara yang menjadi kewenangannya Mahkamah Konstitusi. Maka saya telah mengajukan pengunduran diri sebagai anggota DPR dan MPR RI itu pada minggu pertama bulan Desember. Maka saya juga telah mengajukan pada bulan Desember itu pengunduran diri dari jabatan dan keanggotaan di Partai Persatuan Pembangunan.
All right, folks, it is that time of the hour for us to deliver updates in regards to the upcoming Indonesian general election in our program, Indonesian Votes 2024.
Presidential candidate Anies Baswedan emphasized the critical importance of addressing stunting as a top priority.
He urged regional leaders to allocate a larger budget for nutrition for pregnant women and also improve health facilities to prevent malnutrition in children.
During a talk with medical staff and nursing school students earlier today in South Jakarta, Anies stressed that prioritizing nutrition for pregnant women is more crucial than offering free milk and food for school-age children.
Aside from preventing nutritional issues in pregnant women, such approach also aims to ensure complete immunization and proper parenting.
Jadi intervensinya satu nih, intervensinya di usia dini, bahkan di usia ibu hamil, memastikan kesehatan ibu hamil. Jadi bukan hanya bicara tentang jenis satu jenis makanan, tapi kita harus memastikan bahwa semua nutrisi sehat, pola asuh benar, imunisasi benar di usia dini anak-anak.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Ganjar Pranowo met with his supporters in Madiun City, East Java yesterday.
Ganjar Pranowo spoke of the programs proposed by Ganjar Mahfud pair and asked for supporters to be spokespeople for the two in the region.
Pranowo took the time for a discussion with millennial and Gen Zs at a local coffee shop in Madiun. The crowd shared their concerns from job opportunities, the struggle of small-medium enterprises, and many more. Pranowo addressed their worries with the programs both he and his running mate are advocating.
He also spent time with other supporters who were seen wearing shirts supporting his candidacy. He went on to elaborate on some of his other programs that relate to local public.
These include one graduate from one unfortunate family program and the distribution of social aid. Ganjar Pranowo also asked his supporters to become spokespeople for the Ganjar Mahfud pair in the region and help spread word of their candidacy.
Bisa melihat apa program dari masing-masing calon. Bagaimana cara masing-masing calon untuk bisa menyelesaikan tugas atau mewujudkan program itu. Dan tentu Bapak Ibu akan bisa menilai. Nah, relawan Ganjar Mahfud kita harapkan untuk bisa menyampaikan program itu terus kepada masyarakat. Hari ini waktu makin pendek, kita minta tolong, minta bantuan dari kawan-kawan relawan, nggih? Siap, betul?
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Prabowo Subianto has not yet set a campaign agenda as he is still busy fulfilling his duties as the Minister of Defense.
And another update for the general election of 2024, a joint team from the Election Supervisory Agency, Transportation Agency, and the police in Semarang, Central Java held a raid of public transportation vehicles found with stickers in support of political candidates.
Meanwhile, authorities in Jakarta continue to assess regulations on political attributes irresponsibly set up throughout the city that may put pedestrian safety at risk.
A joint team from the Election Supervisory Agency or Bawaslu, Transportation Agency and the police held a raid of vehicles with stickers in support of political candidates. Authorities had singled out as many as 75 publics in Semarang that were seen with stickers supporting legislative candidates. The stickers were found on the rear windows of the vehicles. An Elections Commission or KPU article bans the placement or attachment of public attributes on public facilities. Placing stickers on vehicles' windows also violate policies set by the Transportation Ministry regarding passenger safety.
Dalam PKPU pasal 70, bahan kampanye itu dilarang dipasang, salah satunya itu di sarana prasarana publik. Sehingga kemarin kita memutuskan untuk melakukan penertiban, rencananya akan dilakukan 3 kali ya, hari ini, besok, dan lusa. Nah, selama 3 hari itu memang kita sudah identifikasi kurang lebih ada sekitar 75 ya, 75 angkutan umum yang terdapat stiker atau branding.
The Jakarta Election Supervisory Agency on Thursday held an open meeting for the mitigation and coordination of political attributes in South Jakarta. The agency continues to review reports from the public concerning the placement of attributes deemed in violations of laws. The agency will only determine in the next 2 days or so what constitutes a violation when it comes to placing political attributes.
Kami Bawaslu DKI Jakarta mengucapkan prihatin ya yang mendalam, tentu teman-teman dari Bawaslu DKI Jakarta Selatan itu sudah melakukan koordinasi dengan kepolisian dan juga partai politik itu supaya segera dicopot gitu ya. Dan kami juga menghimbau partai politik pada khususnya sebagai peserta pemilu itu juga harus mentaati ya, regulasi yang sudah dibuat. Nah, kita boleh ngomong, oh ini kontestasi juga harus memperhatikan regulasi, estetika kota. Dan lebih dari itu adalah yang namanya kompetisi pemilu itu kan ada kemanusiaan. Tadi yang disampaikan oleh pelapor saya kira sepakat ya. Kemanusiaan ini harus di atas politik.
Previously, a number of political attributes found throughout infrastructure in Jakarta that may put pedestrians at risk have yet to be dismantled. See Today contributor reporting from Central Java and Jakarta.
And always stay tuned right here in our program and also our network at See Today for the latest updates in regards to the general election, Indonesian election of 2024. Now we're going to take a step back momentarily when we return. Paul Palella, yes, finally, I see him back at his station. He has some updates, especially for today's sports.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about NBA. Remember when Lakers and Utah Jazz lost? And
Yeah,
AD really put that chip on the shoulder when he said, it's all because of me.
Yeah.
But look at him now.
Yeah, it's been an up and down season, to say the least, but it's on the up and up now,
That's
and
right.
things are looking good for Laker Nation. I'm happy to report. We're going to talk a little bit about the latest news and some results from the NBA, but we've got some great news as well from the world of sports from Indonesia, as we have the latest updates from the India Open. We also have some news from the AFC Asian Cup. So all that and more when we return here on the C Morning Show. Stay tuned. I've got your morning sports update coming up next.
You're the
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go. A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on See Indonesia.
Bahkan brosurnya aja Pak, saya udah pelan-pelanin jalan. Ditegur, Mas cepetan gitu. Ini bisa baca perilaku kamu sekalian. Kita mau baca tarot nggak? Iya.
Oh iya, Sa.
Mana tangan kamu?
Keren banget, mau Om.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang, uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible, I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Ini lebih ke klasik modern sih Mas ya, dibandingkan yang regular Z900 Naked-nya.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the program. It is 6:30 in the a.m. and it's time for me to deliver you your first sports update of this Friday morning. We're going to begin with some badminton news as Indonesia has one of its shuttlers in the quarterfinals of the 2024 India Open as Anthony Sinisuka Ginting defeated Japan's Kenta Nishimoto in the round of 16. During the round of 16 that took place at the KD Jadhav Indoor Hall in New Delhi on Thursday afternoon, Indonesian shuttler Anthony Sinisuka Ginting defeated Kenta Nishimoto of Japan in 2 games, 21-8, 21-17, and a duration of 40 minutes. This win now allows Ginting to become the first Indonesian through to the quarterfinals, where he will next face Hong Kong's Lee Chuk-yui. Elsewhere, Indonesian men's single shuttler Jonathan Christie has been eliminated in the round of 16 when he lost 21-15, 21-13 to Malaysia's Lee Zijia. The Indonesian mixed doubles team also suffered a loss in the round of 16 as Rehan Naufal Kusharyanto and Lisa Ayu Kusumawati were defeated by Ye Hongwei and Li Chiaxin of Chinese Taipei 10-21, 21-10, and 21-16. Indonesia still has an opportunity to book another spot in the quarterfinals as men's doubles team of Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto is set to play later today. On to some football news now as the chairman of the Indonesian Football Association, or PSSI, has signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with Abdi Waluyo Hospital in Jakarta on Thursday morning. Within the MOU, both parties have agreed to monitor the physical and mental well-being of the Indonesian national team and to also build a hospital near the PSSI training center in the new capital city of Nusantara. The Memorandum of Understanding signing was also attended by the representative of the Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing, SC Asia, and witnessed by PSSI Vice Chairman Zainuddin Amali.
Dalam membangun tentu tim nasional, tidak hanya tadi kita mempersiapkan jenjang daripada persiapan dari usia dini, tentu yang juga junior dan sampai senior, tetapi tidak kalah pentingnya bahwa mereka juga harus didampingi yang namanya sport science, sport medicine, karena kita tahu sekarang banyak juga atlet yang berkembang itu karena tidak hanya karena talenta, tapi justru bagaimana ditingkatkan kemampuannya dan didampingi secara kesehatannya. Nah, karena itu Pak Waketum sejak awal ya melakukan juga investasi bagaimana persiapan untuk alat-alat fitness, alat-alat kesehatan yang sedang mudah-mudahan tidak lama lagi diresmikan ya. Tetapi secara bersamaan juga waktu itu ketika saya di IKN bersama Pak Presiden dan Pak Basuki melihat sebuah peluang bagaimana beberapa rumah sakit yang di sana juga bisa bekerja sama dengan kami PSSI yang kebetulan training centernya ini insya Allah di bulan Juni saya rasa bisa mulai dipakai TC oleh tim junior kita.
Moving on to other football news, goalkeeper Khalid Asa produced a fine performance between the posts as the United Arab Emirates earned a 1-1 draw with Palestine in Group C of the AFC Asian Cup on Thursday, despite playing the majority of the match with only 10 men. Sultan Adil headed UAE in front midway through the first half. However, Khalifa Al-Hamadi hauled down Odai Dabah to concede a penalty. He was shown a straight red card in the 37th minute by referee Ahmad Alali after a VAR review. Tamer Sayyam's spot kick was saved by Issa, but the shot stopper was beaten 4 minutes into the second half when teammate Bader Nasser headed a cross from Sayyam into his own net. However, Issa held firm for the rest of the match to deny Palestine a second goal and what would have been their maiden win in an Asian Cup match. Now, obviously, this match holds a huge significance, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch, as there was a moment of silence for those in Gaza, and Palestine was quite inspired during the match as well, and it has been likened to the support for Morocco during the previous World Cup. Now, Palestine still has a chance to advance, and that will all depend on their result from their upcoming match against Hong Kong. And we will continue to bring you coverage from the AFC Asian Cup, as well as discuss Indonesia's chances against Vietnam in a discussion later on in the program. In the meantime, though, we're going to shift our attention to some basketball news from the NBA, where Anthony Simons hit a winning floater with 0.2 seconds remaining as the Portland Trail Blazers finally snapped their 4-game losing streak with a 105-103 victory over the Brooklyn Nets on Wednesday night. Simons finished the game with 20 points, while Jeremy Grant led the Blazers with 30 points and 8 rebounds. Mikal Bridges scored 21 for the Nets, who have now lost its 4th straight. It was the second and final meeting between both these teams this season. Portland won the first 134-127 in overtime at Brooklyn earlier this month. Now, the Brooklyn Nets went into this game on a 3-game losing skid, and that skid started with a loss to the Blazers when they visited Brooklyn. Now, heading into this matchup, the Nets wanted payback from the defeat 10 days ago. However, this did not happen thanks to Anthony Simons and his clutch floater. Now, this marks the Nets' 3rd consecutive game of not having Day'Ron Sharpe in the lineup. His absence was quite evident because the Trailblazers out-rebounded Brooklyn 41-33. Sharpe is not just a reliable backup big, but he's also arguably the best rebounder on the team. And as the case all season long, Brooklyn was once again unable to protect a lead they once held. They ended the 3rd quarter with an 83-74 scoreline, which marked their largest lead of the game. That lead quickly evaporated because the bench unit struggled to score in the final quarter. Cameron Thomas is a notable backup for Brooklyn, but he struggled once again, only scoring 8 points on 2 of 7 shooting from the field. Now, as mentioned, this loss now is their 4th straight for the Nets, but it also marks the Nets' 24th defeat of the season. It is a discouraging result, which does not have a sign of stopping anytime soon. Portland, as you know, is one of the NBA's worst performing teams this season, but they still beat Brooklyn in their season series. Brooklyn may need to make a major change before the trade deadline that comes in a few weeks because the organization does not own their 2024 nor their 2025 draft picks. The team already has a promising core of Mikal Bridges, Cam Thomas, and Nick Claxton. The front office just has to deliver and provide them with ample support. Anyway, from the East, let's shift over to the West now, where Anthony Davis had 9 assists to finish 1 shy of his 2nd triple-double in 3 games as the Los Angeles Lakers overcame Luka Doncic's triple-double to defeat the Dallas Mavericks 127-110 also on Wednesday.
Los Angeles Lakers beat Dallas Mavericks 127-110 on Wednesday night. Anthony Davis had 28 points on 12 of 17 shooting and added 12 rebounds in 33 minutes. The 12-year center has averaged 2.4 assists per game in his career, but has 5 or more assists in 4 of the past 5 games. He had a career-high 11 on Saturday in a win over the Utah Jazz, as he recorded his 2nd triple-double. Davis's 9 assists led to 28 Lakers points. D'Angelo Russell was the primary beneficiary, as 8 of his team-high 29 points came off passes by Davis. Russell led the Lakers in scoring for the 7th time this season and had 5 3-pointers. Returning after missing 3 games because of a sprained right ankle, Doncic had 33 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists in 33 minutes for his 7th triple-double of the season and 63rd overall. Lakers had a 55-53 halftime lead before taking control in the 3rd quarter. Los Angeles was up 62-59 2 minutes into the quarter before it went on a 27-8 run over the next 5 minutes, where Russell scored 10 points. Lakers' largest lead was 24 points in the 4th quarter.
So as mentioned by my colleague and fellow Laker fan, Caroline, things were looking pretty bleak in Laker Nation just 1 week ago. Last Saturday, the Lakers lost to the Utah Jazz, marking their 2nd defeat in the row, making them 19-21 for the season. The trade rumors were at a fever pitch high, and despite LeBron James missing that matchup, fans felt the bigger cause for that loss and the season's disappointment was a combination of a bad roster and Darvin Ham's coaching. Now, fast forward to now, and the Lakers are playing some of the best basketball of the season outside of the in-season tournament. They've implemented a new starting lineup with the return of Jared Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura. The Lakers got back to their size on the wings, resulting in Los Angeles beating 2 of the better teams in the Western Conference. This team did run it back with the same core that took them to the Western Conference Finals 1 year ago, and now the best parts of that iteration should be better this year. It hasn't happened just yet, But with Jared Vanderbilt missing so much time early in the season and stretches with Rui Hachimura out, they haven't had the chance of benefiting from bringing the best parts of that team. Recent games support that hypothesis, and the Lakers winning games against the top teams now are pretty much a sign that those guys are back and healthy and making a difference. Max Christie and Austin Reeves also have a bigger role this season. Reeves is now averaging over 30 minutes a game and are looking to be a starter once again for the foreseeable future. Meanwhile, Max Christie was glued to the bench last season, but he's now averaging 17 minutes per game, and he's already played in 32 games, looking to crush his game total from his rookie campaign when he only touched the floor in 41 games for the Lakers. Now, the trade deadline, as I mentioned earlier, is fast approaching. This team could look very different in February the 8th. But for now, the Lakers are clicking on all cylinders, and if they can string together a few more wins, they'll be in a much better position than they were last year heading into All-Star Weekend. And that last story brings us to the end of this sports segment. We'll have more sports news later on, as well as this discussion on the preview of Indonesia-Vietnam's matchup in the AFC Asian Cup. But we do have to take another short break. But when the C Morning Show returns, so will Caroline and Alin to bring the latest from the world of entertainment. Stay tuned.
Awalnya nggak tahu kalau itu kanker tulang. Divonisnya harus amputasi, baru tahu. Gasan, papa kan kakinya 1, Gasan kan kakinya 2, Gasan jalannya biasa. Papa juga punya kaki robot.
Maaf Kang Dani, Anda menganggap tetap ini sebagai sebuah kebaikan dari Allah?
Jangan sampai disia-siakan kesempatan itu. Saksikan kisah saya, Dr. Gigi Muhammad Nur Ramadhani, di Teman Bicara Maman.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking debt to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Ini lebih ke klasik modern sih Mas ya, dibandingkan yang regular Z900 nakednya.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku depotsi.
Ya aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Maris.
Pemain.
Yes, welcome to C Morning Show. Now we have entertainment updates for you. For our first story is about a Korean concert in Indonesia. Soloist EU from South Korea formally announced HER World Tour, which features several countries, including Indonesia. Let's take a look at the video. At the end of 2019, IU fulfilled her promise by holding her Love Poem concert tour in Jakarta due to the tremendous enthusiasm among fans. IU stated at the Tennis Indoor Senayan concert stage that she wanted to return to Jakarta, Indonesia.
Definitely, where IU has immense fame right here in our nation. And to Indonesian fans, IU is more than just a singer, songwriter, or composer. She is also known as an actress in many iconic Korean dramas with high ratings such as Dream High and Hotel de Luna, which I'm pretty sure Aline knows all about it.
I watched the last.
There we go. It turns out IU is keeping her promise and will hold a world tour for her, or HER, on April 27th until the 28th of 2024 at the International Convention Exhibition, or ICE, in BSD City, South Tangerang.
In addition to her global hits such as Good Day, Celebrity, BB, Palette, and many more, IU's brand new tracks from the upcoming album will be played live at HER, or Her World Tour. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, the name of the tour. All this will be accompanied by a number of performances and beautiful encores that are a signature of IU concerts.
Definitely. After officially announcing her world tour, IU began promoting her most recent comeback album with pre-release single Love Wins. The song will release along with a music video featuring V from BTS on January 24th. She's very beautiful, by the way.
Very beautiful.
My goodness.
And has a boyfriend that really worships her, Lee Jong-suk, who's also a famous actor.
There you go.
Yeah. But
a beautiful couple. Powerful couple too.
Yeah, and IU, like, she is very well respected in the Korean entertainment industry because she has proved herself from zero to hero.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I mean, but she's also like...
She doesn't come from like a family with privilege, but she proved her quality in the industry.
She's a triple threat though, right? She does acting, singing, composing like songs. She's like multi-talented right there.
Indeed, indeed.
Very cute, by the way. All right, she's like the Taylor Swift of our...
Yeah,
from the Asian region. Alan loves that. Yay! And we're going to talk about Taylor Swift, though, right? That leads the 2024 iHeartRadio Music Awards nomination with 9, including Song of the Year, Pop Song of the Year, and, of course, Artist of the Year.
My God, Taylor Swift was followed closely by Jelly Roll, SZA,
yes,
and 21 Savage with 8. Behind them is Olivia Rodrigo, who received 6.
That's right. Now, Swift had tied Harry Styles, by the way. They were an item before for the most nominations in 8 categories, and ended up the most decorated musician of the night with 6 wins. This includes a Song of the Year for Anti-Hero last year.
And then the iHeartRadio Music Awards honor the most played artist of the year on their stations and app, and fans can vote in several categories, including Best Lyrics, Best Music Video, Best Fan Army, Social Star Award, Favorite Tour Photographer, TikTok Bob of the Year, Favorite Tour Style, and 2 new fields, Favorite On-Screen and Favorite Debut Album. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of nominations right there. There are a total of 7 new categories, by the way, this year, from the 2 aforementioned socially voted category to Pop Song of the Year, Pop Artist of the Year, K-Pop Artist of the Year, K-Pop Song of the Year, and Best New K-Pop Artist.
Ooh, they have awards for K-pop as well. 2024 iHeartRadio Music Awards will air live from the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles on the 1st of April.
So, Alan, are you approved with that, with the new categories, K-Pop Artist, K-Pop Song of the Year?
Approved. They need to accommodate the K-pop industry.
That's right. And hopefully Indonesian one day, or the Southeast Asian region, right? Yes, please, because we have a lot of great musicians right here in our nation. Now, one of the old school band that we still love right now, Green Day, will play their album Dookie and American Idiot in full on their upcoming Saviors World Tour.
The Good Riddance hitmakers, made up of Billy Joe Armstrong, Mike Dirnt, and Trey Cool, took to social media to tell fans they will be playing their 1994 and 2004 records in full each night of their global tour.
I love this. Going back to the days, by the way. Yes, where Green Day will celebrate the 30th anniversary of Dookie and the 20th anniversary of American Idiot by playing both landmark albums in their entirety on their summer stadium tour with the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas.
In a post on their X account, the band wrote big news. Each night of the Saviors tour, we're playing both Dookie and American Idiot in full and a bunch of your other favorites, new and old, all summer long.
There's a great summer indeed. And now the Green Day fans will no doubt be pleased to hear the likes of Longview, Basket Case, and When I Come Around, which all appeared on Dookie, will be played at their upcoming runs of shows, as well as American Idiot, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and Wake Me Up when September ends.
Wow, this one is very, very strong, stuck in our mind. The tour, which kicks off on May 30th, will visit venues in the UK, Europe, and North America across the summer. No Asia.
No. You're saying that so that we can just, right now, saving our banks, so that we can go there on our summer days. Love that.
You
We will go there together and we'll be bumping our heads. By the way, I'm pretty sure we all love this diva. Now, this is Jennifer Lopez. J-Lo has released a trailer to promote her, and she's calling it a cinematic original, and it's companion film of her upcoming album, This Is Me Now. There you go. So there's an album, upcoming movie, all together. Now,
very busy, J-Lo.
I know. 2024, busy day.
I know what they say about me, that we're weak.
The 54-year-old megastar has helped create a 65-minute musical film, This Is Me Now, a love story. Along with Grammy-winning director Dave Meyers, who has worked with many of music's biggest names, including Drake, Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, and Coldplay.
Pick this back up next week.
What are you guys doing here?
The film will showcase her journey to love through her own eyes. With fantastic costumes, breathtaking choreography, and star-studded cameos, this panorama is introspective, retrospective of Jennifer's resilient heart. The film will also see a series of star-studded special appearances.
I guess I never have.
Lopez also stated that her reunion and marriage to Ben Affleck inspired the album.
She used to sleep so peacefully.
The actor and filmmaker Affleck, who dated Lopez from mid-2002 to early 2004 before reuniting with her in 2021, is also a co-writer on the project. The film is visual companion to the album and will be released on Prime Video on February 16th, on the same day the album drops.
Alan, we were talking about how old is Jennifer Lopez. She is 54, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
We just Googled her. Thank you to J-Lo and those fantastic girls that makes aging seem so much fun.
That's right. Those girls that is above 50, we're still gonna call them girls because they still look like. Look at that. She looks like. Ooh, oh my gosh.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yes.
Oh my God.
We're aiming to be like her.
Not scared of getting old.
No. Yes. We have to just pursue it.
Yes. Right. So busy still with a lot of works and projects like J-Lo.
Yes.
And now over to Indonesia, we have Indonesian bride Didit Maulana has built a platform called Jadi Gini Belajar Bersama, or JGBB, which started with the idea of providing a comfortable space for entrepreneurs to learn to develop their business in 2020.
Now, Didit, with his experience in the fashion industry and entrepreneurship for more than 15 years, dedicates the JGBB for entrepreneurs and brands to grow together.
Originating from the idea of creating a comfortable space for entrepreneurs to learn and develop their businesses, Indonesian fashion entrepreneur Didit Maulana launched a website called Jadi Gini Belajar Bersama, or JGBB. Drawing from over 15 years of experience in the fashion and entrepreneurship industry, Didit has dedicated JGBB to provide a platform for entrepreneurs and brands to grow together. Initially launched in 2020 as an online class, JGBB brought entrepreneurs together in a virtual space, facilitating the exchange of knowledge. It wasn't until 2021 that JGBB expanded its reach, introducing in-person classes in various cities across Indonesia, including Jakarta, Bandung, Makassar, Lampung, and Semarang. Nonetheless, the launch of JGBB website is a commitment to increase the empowerment of the ability of business people as individuals, while fostering the spirit of entrepreneurship.
I want to share my knowledge, and then I would like to see as many as possible more small, medium enterprises to develop together. And then this platform is for everyone who wants to learn about entrepreneur and change their mindset in life. The target is everyone who wants to learn about new knowledge, especially to building a brand and then to develop themselves.
Until now, JGBB has been attended by more than 20,000 MSME activists and entrepreneurs from various sectors, ranging from fashion, design, crafts, to culinary in Indonesia.
I mean, that is very great for Didit Maulana. He's an entrepreneur. He's also a fashion designer for Ikat Indonesia. And Ikat Indonesia as a brand itself is really not only known right here in our nation, but internationally known. So it's really great that he's sharing his knowledge, because we have to do that more often nowadays.
Yeah, and he also, I think, actively sharing all his knowledge and wisdom on his social media.
Yes.
We love to listen to his contents, like very wise and also knowledgeable and insightful.
That's right. So then if you are an entrepreneur, especially in the fashion industry.
You are a fashion entrepreneur.
That's why I have to join Mas Didit Maulana in the JGBB, definitely to enhance myself in the business and also to be more wiser, just like him.
Yeah, as we grow older. Now let's take another short break, and after the break, I will be back for updates from the world of business.
There you go. She's the girl for it.
Yeah.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Awalnya nggak tahu kalau itu kanker tulang. Divonisnya harus amputasi, baru tahu. Gasan, papa kan kakinya satu, Gasan kan kakinya dua, Gasan jalannya biasa. Papa juga punya kaki robot.
Maaf Kang Dani, Anda menganggap tetap ini sebagai sebuah kebaikan dari Allah?
Jangan sampai disia-siakan kesempatan itu. Saksikan kisah saya, Dr. Gigi Muhammad Nur Ramadhani, di Teman Bicara Maman.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like, you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different when baguette. So with those appetites and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
A group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Bahkan brosurnya aja Pak, saya udah pelan-pelanin jalan, ditegur, Mas cepetan gitu. Dia bisa baca perilaku kamu. Selanjutnya mau baca tarot nggak? Iya.
Oh iya, Sa.
Mana tangan kamu?
Keren banget. Mau, Om.
You're watching See Today Business with me, Aline Ratmaja. China's BYD introduces itself as the biggest car brand you've probably never imagined, surpassing even Tesla. The renowned automaker has now become the global leader in fully electric vehicle sales. And guess what? They're bringing their cutting-edge EV cars to Indonesia.
BYD, short for Build Your Dreams, is a prominent Chinese automobile manufacturer making its mark in Indonesia. You may have already spotted their electric vehicles in form of electric buses or electric taxis on the streets. As of mid-January 2024, BYD is gearing up for competition with other giants, like the Chinese automaker Wuling and the Korean automaker Hyundai in the Indonesian market.
This time, however, the company has launched 3 mass-market vehicles for 3 different segments. The Seal for the mid-size segment, the Dolphin for the hatchback segment, and the Arrow 3 for the compact crossover segment.
While the suggested retail prices for their 3 vehicles are yet to be announced, there's anticipation building around their arrival. In a significant move, BYD plans to invest a whopping $1.3 billion in Indonesia. Airlangga Hartarto, the coordinating minister for economic affairs, shared the exciting news.
Dari informasi yang kami dapat saat berbincang dengan eksekutif BYD, investasinya adalah 1,3 miliar, kapasitas produksinya 150.000 per unit, dan hari ini produk yang diperkenalkan kepada publik adalah BYD Dolphin, BYD Atto 3, dan BYD Seal.
Even though the government incentive to encourage electric vehicle adoption, such as reducing VAT from 11% to 1%, hasn't led to a substantial surge in demand for EVs in the country, BYD remains optimistic about their prospects.
These transformations of electrification of automobile is happening. So from our point of view, we not limit our own growth in any market. So I think for the next 2 years in Indonesia, we are very optimistic for the marketing growth. Not only for BYD, actually I'm willing to see the total EV category growth.
However, the company faces stiff competition from its rivals. And so it remains to be seen if BYD will have a strong foothold on the potentially lucrative Indonesian EV market. Satya Pramesi and Erwin Widyastama reporting for See Today.
Apple is set to ditch the blood oxygen feature in its latest Apple Watches, a strategic move allowing the company to keep importing and selling the devices in the US amid an ongoing legal battle with Masimo. The US Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit has rejected Apple's request for an extended pause on the import ban imposed by the U.S. International Trade Commission. The decision forces Apple to hold the sale of watches equipped with blood oxygen measurement feature. For several months, Apple has been entangled in an intellectual property dispute with medical device company Masimo. In October, the International Trade Commission ruled that Apple's watch sensors for blood oxygen infringe on Masimo's patents. According to an Apple company report, its wearable, home, and accessory business, which includes the Apple Watch, AirPods, earbuds, and other products, generated over $8 billion in revenue during the third quarter of 2023. Former Meta operating chief Sheryl Sandberg is stepping down from the company's board of directors. In a Facebook post on Wednesday, Sandberg expressed her gratitude and shared her decision not to seek re-election in May, stating that with a heart filled with gratitude and a mind filled with memories, she lets the Meta board know that she will not stand for re-election this May. Sandberg joined Facebook in 2008 as Mark Zuckerberg's top deputy after spending approximately 7 years at Google. In 2012, she became a board member at the company. During her tenure, Facebook reached a peak market capitalization of $1 trillion in 2021. Sandberg had previously announced her departure from Meta in mid-2022 following multiple controversies that had negatively impacted the company's reputation among users, lawmakers, and investors. Despite the announcement, Meta's stock remains unchanged. In a panel discussion on artificial intelligence at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, CEOs and government officials issued warnings that workers must acquire AI skills or risk either falling behind or even losing their jobs.
Very different.
Artificial intelligence, or AI, has been a major focal point at this year's World Economic Forum. Despite the numerous risks and concerns surrounding the technology, many experts, CEOs, and government officials have agreed that whether we like it or not, AI is booming, and the world, along with its workforce, need to catch up.
How do you think about AI, and how do you think governments should think about AI?
During the panel discussion on Gen AI, IBM CEO Arvind Krishna emphasized the importance of workers learning AI skills to secure their employment.
It is not necessarily job displacement, but it is absolutely an impact. If you embrace AI, you're going to make yourself a lot more productive. If you do not, then probably I agree with the minister, you're going to find that you may not have a job. So you've got to embrace it.
Julie Sweet, the CEO of the global consulting firm Accenture, said that AI will be able to generate well-paying jobs, but it is a responsibility of both companies and governments to reskill workers.
This will be a great technology if we can bring people along the journey, and we have to be able to reskill them. Fundamentally, it's very basic. Well-paying jobs for people solve a lot of problems. And AI will create a lot of new jobs, but you won't be able to take the current people and put them in the jobs unless you partner together, government and companies, on reskilling.
Arvind Krishna stated that AI would not only create new jobs, but also significantly increase global productivity by up to $4 trillion before 2030. Those who learn AI, including programmers, customer service representatives, accountants, and HR professionals, will all have a substantial advantage.
Artificial intelligence, today's form, is going to generate $4 trillion of annual productivity before the end of the decade. That is incredible economic competitiveness for companies and nations, hence the excitement. And those who embrace it, I completely agree with the minister and the senator, are going to be advantaged forever. Okay, so then you say which tasks? Absolutely, coding is one. We can see 20, 30, 40% productivity for a programmer who embraces AI as opposed to one who doesn't. Customer service of all kinds, whether you're writing emails back, whether you're answering phone calls, whether you're trying to answer really tough questions, all the way to people call in with tough problems, and can you get them through those quicker with a higher satisfaction than without using artificial intelligence. So a whole wide area in customer service.
Not just CEOs, but government officials, including UAE Minister Sultan Al Olama, echoed the warnings of the challenges ahead if we do not embrace AI.
Artificial intelligence is very important, and there's a good way for you to understand how important it is. There's no dictionary in the world that can tell you the difference between the word complete and finished. But there's a way for you to understand it. If you embrace artificial intelligence, you will be complete. If you do not and you're late, you'll be finished. And if you reject it altogether, you will be completely finished.
Is that from ChatGPT or from you?
No, from me. It's HI, not AI.
That's pretty good. I'm going to copy that. That's excellent. Writing it down.
The managing director of the IMF, Christina Georgieva, in a written piece, highlighted that AI would impact 40% of jobs globally. Like the panelists at Davos, Georgieva emphasized that those who embrace AI will experience increased productivity and wages, while those who cannot adapt will fall behind.
In the future, we can expect these technologies to become even more powerful.
The Japanese Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism has issued a rectification order for 3 car models produced by Daihatsu. The order comes in response to an independent third-party report from December 2023, which uncovered safety irregularities in over 64 car models manufactured by Daihatsu. As a result, Daihatsu had to hold all global car shipments. The rectification order issued earlier this week on Tuesday essentially prohibits Daihatsu from producing the 3 affected car models. The affected car models include the pickup truck model Grand Max branded by Daihatsu, Town Ace branded by Toyota, and Bango branded by Mazda. In addition, the ministry has also requested Daihatsu to submit a notice for potential recall of 2 other car models, Cast and Toyota Lexus Joy, which are suspected of not complying with safety standards. In an announcement on Tuesday, Japan's Transport Minister Tetsuo Saito said the scandal has shaken the foundations of the certification system and affected confidence in Japan's manufacturing sector. So that's all for business updates for this hour. After the break, I'll be back with a discussion about economic challenges in the election year with Permata Bank Chief Economist Joshua Pardede. So stay with us.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go.
A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty only on Si Indonesia.
Bahkan brosurnya aja Pak, saya udah pelan-pelanin jalan. Ditegur, Mas cepetan gitu. Dia bisa baca perilaku kamu. Sekalian kita mau baca tarot nggak? Iya.
Oh iya, Sa.
Mana tangan kamu?
Keren banget. Mau, Om.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak. Dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick.
Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
About you that makes me indulge in the company of
Ini lebih ke klasik modern sih Mas ya, dibandingkan yang regular Z900 nakednya.
Alright guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
You're still watching See Today Business with me, Alin Wiratmaja. The economic landscape of Indonesia in the political year of 2024 is navigating through a myriad of challenges. A complex scenario is unfolding from the global economic slowdown and diminished consumption to elevated interest rates and the intricacies of political maneuvering influencing investment preferences. What key aspects should both investors and consumers focus on amid these uncertainties? Joining us today, Permata Bank Chief Economist Joshua Padede. Thank you so much for coming to our studio, Pak Joshua.
Thank you for having me, Alan.
Yes, let's discuss the economic challenges and outlook in 2024 as we embrace the election year this year. So, do you see what are the factors that we should take into considerations in determining our financial decision this year?
So actually, from the global perspective, we noted that several international organizations like IMF, World Bank, OECD are expecting that this year global economy is tending to be slowing down, because the two biggest economy in the world, such as US and then China, are expecting to be slowing down this year. For example, like China last year could grow more than 5%, but this year is expecting to be lower than 5%. US also the same thing, that although in the first quarter until third quarter last year, the US economy is still growing positively, but many economists expecting that since starting in the fourth quarter of last year, the US economy will likely to slow down. So, for example, and then not to mention also the global geopolitical tension. We note that in the Middle East, for example, and then prolonging geopolitical tension in the Russia and Ukraine, I think these two combination could affect the global volume trade volume, and then this also would affect the combination. These two factors could affect negatively to the Indonesia's export performance, because, for example, like China is our major trading partner, because our export contributions to China accounts 20% of total Indonesia's export. So that's why I think we need to mitigate the impact of the global economic slowdown coupled with the geopolitical tension in order to boost to make sure that Indonesia GDP still could be maintained at 5%.
So with this all uncertainties, do you think that we have what it takes to maintain our economic growth at the 5%?
Yeah, in fact, although the global economy is expecting to be slowed down, but Indonesia's GDP from those international organizations is expected to remain 5%. It means that Indonesian economy is not affected dominantly by the global economy, because Indonesia's domestic economy still accounts more than 50% of the economy. So private consumption, for example, still accounts more than 52% of the economy, followed by investment that accounts 30% of the economy, of the GDP. So that's why the contribution of export to Indonesian GDP actually relatively less than 10%. So that's why I think that's the recipe why Indonesian GDP still expected to remain at 5%. So the thing, I think the government need to maintain the purchasing power, and then to maintain also the investment climate amidst the global slowdown and then the uncertainty in the domestic political year. So that's why by giving, for example, like incentive or policies, subsidies, and then social assistance to promote the purchasing power, particularly for the middle income people.
To maintain the purchasing power. So if we take the factor of the expected Fed fund rates pivot or easing down of the Fed fund rates hike, how can it help Indonesia's economy?
So actually, from the latest FMC meeting in December last year, the Fed gave signal that this year the Fed would likely to cut around 75 basis points the interest rates after sharp interest rate hike since 2022, following or anticipating the slowing in inflation, and then of course the expectation of the slowing down in the U.S. economy. But of course, by these measures, the interest rate cut from the Fed, Bank Indonesia also has room to start to cut the interest rate, BI rate, from currently 6%, and we're expecting that the Bank Indonesia rate could be cut 50 basis points by the end of this year to 5.5%. Therefore, I think take into account that the BI has room for interest rate cuts, so this would have a positive impact, not to mention not only for the private consumption but also for the investment, because you name it, for example, like fixed income and then the stocks market, I think will respond positively whenever the central bank cut the interest rates. And then for the spending as well, whenever the central bank cut the interest rate, also there's a more incentive for the people to consume rather than to save their money in the bank. So that's why the combination of these two factors will likely to support Indonesia GDP in this year.
Yes, and then if we look at the historic data, how strong the political factor plays a role if we compared it to the external risk or condition to Indonesian overall economy. For the financial market, we know that the stock market tends to bullish every political or election year, but regarding overall economy, how our economy works usually in the political year?
So from the real economy, we saw that the impact of the political year tend to be neutral. On the one hand, the political year or the campaign activities could boost the private consumption activities, but on the other hand, amidst the domestic political year, investors tend to be a wait and see, waiting for the election results, particularly for the presidential elections, because they need to make sure that the policies, economic policy, especially that will be governed by the next president, is fit with their business climate. Yeah, so that's why the uncertainty from the private investment would wait and see, but from the public investment, we think that the government still continue to support the infrastructure development by, for example, national strategic projects and then new capital city in Kalimantan. But again, the combination, I think, from the positive side from the private consumption could be offset by the temporarily wait and see sentiment from the investment. So that's why the impact to the from the political year to the economy, I think, tend to be neutral.
Okay, domestic consumption and investment climate in Indonesia. What are the challenges faced by the new president of Indonesia?
So actually, the challenges is that Indonesian economy has to reach more than the GDP growth need to reach more than 5% in order to achieve the high income country by 2045. That's, I think, the big the tough homework for the next presidents, knowing that the space for the fiscal, for example, we note that from the candidates of the presidential candidates, we noted that they plan so many spendings, but we note from the fiscal side, the state budget is limited by 3% of the GDP. So that's why how to accommodate the president candidates' plans to promote economy, while on the other hand, they have some limited space in terms of the fiscal or the state budget. So I think that's the toughest one. And then from the tax revenue side, we noted that the tax revenues, I think, although in the last 3 years, tax revenues achieved the target, even surpassed the target thanks to the commodity boom. But the real thing, I think this year, whenever the commodity prices continue to normalize, and then as you mentioned earlier, that the global economy also tended to be slowing down, we hope that in the future the tax ratios could be higher enough, in order to finance the government's spending. I think that's the biggest homework from the next presidents, in order to accommodate the state budget fit enough with their plan or their vision.
Financing the state budget and the development programs that they propose, that will be one of the main challenges. So regarding our effort to achieve more than 5% GDP growth, our current administration has started the EV or downstreaming industry in Indonesia. Do you think that this is significant enough to help us to achieve more than 5% GDP growth, or we need something else as a game changer?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, that private consumption is still the main contributor to the economy, but if we only depend on the private consumption, I think it's not enough to achieve the GDP growth more than 5%. So we need to attract investments more in the future. Particularly, we noted that manufacturing sectors that still has a biggest portion to the economy from the supply side, and then we realized that Indonesia is of course enriched by the natural resources. So of course, I think the investment in the downstreaming in basic metal, for example, nickel, etc. I think it's a one of a way, in order to attract investment more. Because if we rely to the, for example, like investment in the capital intensive, I think it couldn't be more productive. Meaning that if the government can attract more investment to the manufacturing sector, for example, we can absorb job creation. We can create jobs more than we invest in the capital intensive sectors. So I agree that the government has a big plan, in order to make Indonesia as a global supply chain for the battery in the EV sectors globally. But we need to, and then we already noted that, for example, like regional growth, for example, in Central Sulawesi and then North Maluku, in the last 3 years grew more than 10%. Can you imagine? For the eastern part of Indonesia, the GDP growth is higher than western part of Indonesia. So I think this is a way also in order to create manufacturing sectors, manufacturing centers, not only in Java but also outside Java. In order to spread out the economy. Not only can be happening in Java Island, but also the economy can be happening also in the eastern part of Indonesia.
So manufacturing sectors in general, not only the EV industry. So last question for you, what asset class we should take into consideration for this political year?
So as I expect that in the first half of 2024, that the central bank still maintain the policy rate. So we think that the assets for the money market still competitive, yeah, until before the central bank gives signal for the rate cut. But in the second semester, we are expecting that the fixed income or bond market, yeah, could respond positively to the expectation of the central bank policy rate cut. Yeah, so not to mention, of course, as you said earlier, that the stocks market also respond positively ahead of the election year. So also we are expecting that for the stocks market, yeah, particularly for example like media and then logistics, consumer goods, those sectors are benefiting from the elections events. Yeah, so that's why some sectors, some corporates in the stocks market will have positive impact. But we have to also note that some sectors in stock market, that those sectors that rely on the global economy, for example, like export-oriented sectors, I think we need to be cautious as well.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights. It's really helpful for us to allocate our assets and set our strategy for this year. So let's take a break, but we will have more updates from around the world when we return, so stay with us.
Awalnya nggak tahu kalau itu kanker tulang. Divonisnya harus amputasi, baru tahu. Gasan, papa kan kakinya 1, Gasan kan kakinya 2, Gasan jalannya biasa. Papa juga punya kaki robot.
Maaf Kang Dani, Anda menganggap tetap ini sebagai sebuah kebaikan dari Allah?
Jangan sampai disia-siakan kesempatan itu. Saksikan kisah saya, Dr. Gigi Muhammad Nur Ramadhani, di Teman Bicara Maman.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking debt to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan,
kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku depotsi.
Ya, aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi tuh hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mas.
Pemain.
Ini lebih ke klasik modern sih Mas ya, dibandingkan yang regular Z900 nakednya.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different than baguette. So with those appetites and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
Hi everyone, welcome back. You're still with us here on the C Morning Show. We're past the midway point of our program, and in case you joined us late, we're now going to bring you some world news. Israeli forces have withdrawn from the Nur Shams refugee camp in the West Bank on Thursday, leaving mass destruction in its wake.
Now, houses and streets were reduced to rubble, and essential utilities such as water and electricity were severely disrupted.
Local residents expressed their anguish and frustration at the destruction left behind by the departing forces. Meanwhile, the Israeli army was still present in the Turkam city on Thursday.
Meanwhile, trucks could be seen passing through the Rafah crossing into Gaza on Thursday.
Senior UN officials have warned that Gaza faces widespread famine and disease if more aid is not allowed in.
Israel completely sealed off Gaza and only relented under U.S. pressure. It says there are now no limits and no entry or the entry of humanitarian aid, and that UN agencies could reduce the delays by providing more workers and aid trucks.
UN officials, however, say aid delivery is currently hobbled by the opening of too few border crossings, as well as a slow vetting process, as well as fighting throughout the territory, all of which are largely under Israel's control.
A shipment of medicine for dozens of hostages held by Hamas arrived in Gaza on Wednesday as part of a France and Qatar mediated deal that marked the first agreement between Israel and the militant group since a week-long ceasefire in November.
This deal could bring some respite to several of the roughly 100 hostages who still remain in captivity, as well as to Palestinians in Gaza who are now in desperate need of aid.
Now, as Israel is pointing fingers at the UN agencies, well, and their respective response, they said it's not a matter of numbers of trucks that can get in. He said that after listing a series of roadblocks stopping aid includes unreliable, the confliction of access routes, and civilians having to move from one place of insecurity to another place that is insecurity too. If you cannot rely on the confliction of access routes of people need, you cannot rely on hospitals not being attacked, you cannot rely on people having to move from one place that is not safe to another place that is also not safe. Those are issues to make the humanitarian aid deliveries, and it's not a matter of number of trucks that could get in. Now, the head of World Food Program, UN Children Fund, and the World Health Organization said that getting enough supplies into and across Gaza depends on the opening of new entry routes. More trucks now are being allowed through border checks each day, fewer restrictions, and the movement of humanitarian workers and guarantees of safety for people accessing and distributing aids. That is what is wanted by these UN agencies. As of right now, people in Gaza is risking dying hunger just miles away of trucks filled with food. I think we've also seen this viral footages that we've seen where all the Palestinians are taking the videos, where when they see just like a truck or they just see like a box of aid, they would all roam and run. Exactly, and that would also cause us casualties. So right now, it's not only the bombardment, famine becomes one of the casualties also.
And these are the stages as you reach now. We are entering its 4th month. It is becoming more and more dire. There's footage that has been taken of the destruction of the buildings itself. So they're really, literally, like you said, nowhere to go. Many have been displaced from more than one place to another, and it's now worse than ever. So with no end in sight.
That's right. And even then, we're going to keep you updated in regards to what happened in Gaza. But right now, there's also another intensified casualties that has happened elsewhere in the region, where activist videos showed the aftermath of a Pakistani airstrike on Iran that had killed at least 9 people.
Footage from the campaign of Baluch activists shows the scene on Thursday in Saravan in Iran's Sistan and Baluchistan province.
Pakistan's Air Force has launched retaliatory airstrikes in Iran, allegedly targeting militant positions. The attack early on Thursday further raised tensions between the neighboring nations.
The strikes in Sistan and Baluchistan province follow Iran's attack on Tuesday on Pakistani soil that killed 2 children in the southwestern Baluchistan province. The attacks Tuesday and Thursday appear to target separate Baluch militant groups that the 2 countries have allegedly found safe havens in the other.
These strikes have impaired diplomatic relations between the 2 neighbors, as Iran and nuclear-armed Pakistan have long regarded each other with suspicion over militant attacks. The attacks also have raised the threat of violence spreading across the Middle East, unsettled by Israel's war with Hamas across the Gaza Strip.
Pakistan's Air Force launched retaliatory airstrikes early Thursday on Iran, as confirmed by a foreign ministry spokesperson.
The strike, which allegedly targeted militant positions, killed at least 7 people and further raised tensions between the neighboring nations.
Morning, Pakistan undertook a series of highly coordinated and specifically targeted precision military strikes against terrorist hideouts in Sistan-o-Baluchistan province of Iran. A number of terrorists were killed during the intelligence-based operation codenamed Margpar Sarmachar. Over the last several years, in our engagements with Iran, Pakistan has consistently shared its serious concerns about the safe havens and sanctuaries enjoyed by Pakistani-origin terrorists, calling themselves Sarmachars, on the ungoverned spaces inside Iran. This morning's action was taken in light of credible intelligence of impending large-scale terrorist activities against Pakistan by these terrorists. This action is a manifestation of Pakistan's unflinching resolve to protect and defend its national security against all threats. The successful execution of this highly complex operation is also a testimony to the professionalism of the armed forces of Pakistan.
More on the story, as Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian said no Pakistani nationals were targeted in a missile and drone strike which took place on the country on Tuesday.
The minister said that the strike on Pakistan-Balochistan region targeted an Iranian terrorist group hiding there.
He went on to say that he had discussed with Pakistan's high-ranking military, security, and political officials regarding the missile and drone strike, and emphasized that the operation was against Iranian terrorists inside Pakistani soil.
در مورد پاکستان هیچ یک از اتباع کشور همسایه، دوست و برادر ما پاکستان مورد هدف پهپاد و موشک‌های ایران نبودند. گروهی موسوم به جیش العدل که یک گروه تروریستی ایرانی است و در بخش‌هایی از مناطق پاکستان در استان سیستان و بلوچستان پاکستان پناه گرفته‌اند و ما بارها در مورد اون با مقامات عالی رتبه نظامی، امنیتی و سیاسی پاکستان گفتگو کردیم. عملیات‌هایی رو در روزهای گذشته در ایران انجام دادند، از جمله در پاسگاه راسک نیروهای انتظامی ما رو به شهادت رسوندن. پاسخ ما روی تروریست‌های ایرانی در داخل خاک پاکستان هست. اجازه نمی‌دهیم که امنیت ملی کشورمون رو به بازی بگیرند و هیچ تعارفی در تأمین امنیت ملی کشورمون با طرف‌های تروریستی در داخل پاکستان و جریانات اسرائیلی در اقلیم کردستان عراق نداریم.
Now, in regards to this, the Pakistani Foreign Ministry had stated that this attack that had commenced, again, with the casualty of 2 innocent children, will have a serious consequences in regards to this. It is more even concerning that this illegal act has taken place despite the existence of several channels of communications between Iran and also Pakistan. And this become an unprovoked violation of its airspace by Iran inside a Pakistani territory. So this also has consequences, as mentioned by the Pakistan Foreign Ministry, and one of which right now that Pakistan is going to recall its ambassador from Iran and suspended all Iranian high-level visits. This includes also China that urged Iran and Pakistan to exercise restraint in handling their ongoing conflict after the deadly strike that Alin will have furthermore on this.
Yes, Carol. So China on Thursday said it was highly concerned about escalating tensions between Pakistan and Iran and called on the two sides to exercise calm and restraint.
Pakistan's Air Force launched retaliatory airstrikes early on Thursday in Iran that allegedly targeted militant hideouts. The attack killed at least 7 people and further raised tensions between the neighboring nations.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said that she has yet to know the latest development of the situation, but reiterate that China sincerely hopes that both sides can exercise calm and restraint and avoid escalation of the tension.
了解你说的最新的情况，但是呢，我们也高度关注局势的发展。中方一贯主张根据联合国宪章宗旨原则和国际法处理国与国之间的关系，主张切实尊重和维护各国的主权、独立和领土完整。伊朗和巴基斯坦是近邻，也都是中国的友好国家，是有重要影响力的国家。中方真诚希望双方能够保持冷静克制，避免局势紧张升级。如果双方有需要的话，我们也愿意为缓和事态发挥建设性的作用。
A prosecutor investigating a dramatic attack on the set of a public television channel last week was shot to death on Wednesday in Guayaquil, the most dangerous city in Ecuador.
Attorney General Diana Salazar said prosecutor Cesar Suarez, who had carried out other high-profile investigations in the past, was shot while driving a vehicle. 13 alleged perpetrators have been arrested in the assault at TC Television, which was broadcast live and led President Daniel Noboa to declare that Ecuador is in an internal armed conflict amid a surge of killings, as well as other crimes that are tied to drug trafficking.
Suarez was also in charge of a case involving an Ecuadorian drug lord who allegedly received favorable treatment from judges, prosecutors, police officers, and high officials. Ecuadorian police said they were working to find those responsible for the murder of Suarez. Ecuador has been rocked by a series of attacks, including the abduction of several police officers in the wake of a notorious gang leader's apparent escape from prison.
Jose Adolfo Macias Villamar, leader of Los Choneros, one of the Ecuadorian gangs considered responsible for a spike in car bombings, kidnappings, and slayings, was discovered missing from his prison cell where he was serving a sentence for drug trafficking.
Ante el asesinato de nuestro compañero César Suárez, fiscal de la Unidad Nacional Especializada en Investigaciones contra la Delincuencia Organizada Transnacional en Guayas, voy a ser enfática. Los grupos de delincuencia organizada, los criminales, los terroristas no detendrán nuestro compromiso con la sociedad ecuatoriana. Continuaremos con más fuerza y compromiso. Debemos tener claro que este hecho atroz trae consigo un mensaje para el trabajo que estamos cumpliendo desde la justicia en el Ecuador.
Elsewhere in the world, the Swedish government has urged its citizens to prepare for war-related risks, citing global conflicts, particularly triggered by the Russian-Ukraine conflict and Sweden's NATO membership application.
And despite concerns, Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson reassured the public that while the risk of war has increased, there is currently no imminent threat to the country. Our Swedish contributor, Banoni, has all the details.
It's been days and weeks that the Swedish government called on citizens to prepare for the war. The statement, indeed, given by the government was set to prepare the citizen or the worst scenario as the war-related mental issues due to the world's conflicts. Now, the announcement was influenced by the Russian-Ukraine conflict and Sweden's prolonged application for NATO membership, while still awaiting approval from Turkey and Hungary. Now, many people regret that Sweden seems to frighten their own citizens, but there are also others who said that Sweden feels the need to prepare themselves for attacks from other countries amidst uncertain world conflicts. Yesterday, the Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson told the Sverige radio about the risks for the war and has gone up in recent years, but the Prime Minister said not to worry about a war even right now, as he tells Sverige radio or Swedish radio. This is a statement from Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson on Sverige radio.
Jag är inte orolig, däremot så förbereder vi oss med ökad beredskap på olika sätt. Det vill säga, det finns ingenting som talar för att kriget står för dörren nu, men det är väl alldeles uppenbart att krigsriskerna i vår del av världen har ökat rejält. Och att det som har drabbat Ukraina i form av den massiva invasionen i princip skulle kunna drabba vilken demokrati som helst i Rysslands närhet. Så att låt oss ingen oro, det är ganska meningslöst. Det är bättre att förbereda sig och ha ett starkt försvar, gå med i NATO som vi gör, samarbeta med andra länder och förstås uppmana befolkningen till ett mått av rimlig förberedelse som man gör i ett bra civilförsvar.
The Prime Minister also mentioned some of the negative reaction to recent comments made about war in Sweden by the government defense ministers, and the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces are, they said, overstated. There are no indication that war is an immediate threat, but it is pretty obvious that the risk of war in our part of the world has increased drastically. That's what he said. The situation in Sweden themselves is pretty much safe, and many citizens are more concerned about the extreme weather in Sweden, which is the coldest conditions since 25 years ago. Now, it is minus 14 and feels like minus 20 now, and it's really cold. That's for the report. Back to the studio.
Yes, now let's take a break, but we will have more updates from Southeast Asia when we return, so stay with us.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Awalnya nggak tahu kalau itu kanker tulang. Divonisnya harus amputasi, baru tahu. Gasan, papa kan kakinya 1, Gasan kan kakinya 2, Gasan jalannya biasa. Papa juga punya kaki robot.
Maaf Kang Dani, Anda menganggap tetap ini sebagai sebuah kebaikan dari Allah?
Jangan sampai disia-siakan kesempatan itu. Saksikan kisah saya, Dr. Gigi Muhammad Nur Ramadhani, di Teman Bicara Maman.
Bahkan brosurnya aja Pak, saya udah pelan-pelanin jalan. Ditegur, Mas cepetan gitu. Dia bisa baca perilaku kamu. Sekarang kita mau baca tarot nggak? Iya.
Oh iya, Sa.
Mana tangan kamu?
Keren banget. Mau, Om.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like, you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different when baguette. So with those appetites and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
A group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in
Welcome back to the program, and of course we're here in this segment. We will have some features and also updates from the Southeast Asia region. And first, let us begin with our headlines.
We begin in Vientiane, where the government of the Republic of Korea recently donated several pieces of equipment to Laos for the country's ASEAN chairmanship in 2024. The handover ceremony was held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Vientiane and was witnessed by Laos's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Salumsai Komasit, Korea's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Chung Byun-won, as well as other relevant officials from both sides. Laos is set to succeed Indonesia as the ASEAN chair for the third time in 2024. That seems to be more challenging this time around since the country is taking the helm amidst ongoing issues within the region. The committee has prepared key documents, arranged meeting venues and accommodation, as well as other facilities for foreign guests, including ASEAN members.
And now from Malaysia, where Prime Minister of Malaysia Anwar Ibrahim signed and sent a postcard to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, as a hope for the UN to consider Palestine as the state member of the United Nations. Through his Instagram post on January 17th, he wrote this special postcard as to express the wishes of Malaysians people by urging the UN to accept Palestine as a member state and demanding violence and cruelty against the Palestinians by the Zionist regime immediately stopped. Malaysia has been transparent and loud in showing support to Palestine. This newly launched campaign of sending postcards is a diplomatic move from the Malaysian government to deliver the aspiration of the people of Malaysia to the United Nations in the hope of the liberation of Palestine and the UN to take actions in solving the conflict immediately.
From Thailand, Deputy Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Parn Pri said that the nation is committed to providing humanitarian aid to Myanmar and would cooperate with ASEAN countries to foster peace in the neighboring countries. His remarks came during the discussion on the World Economic Forum's 54th annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland on January the 16th. He also said that Thailand has played an active and inventive role in promoting peace, stability, and unity in Myanmar. He added that Thailand has provided humanitarian aid to Myanmar as needed. He went on to say that the Thai government has discussed with the Myanmar government to convey humanitarian aid to Myanmar citizens who need help in their country.
And we're going to keep it in Thailand for our first update from Southeast Asia, as human rights activist Arnon Nampa has been sentenced to an additional 4 years in a prison in Bangkok for violating Section 112 of the Criminal Code, also known as the Lèse-majesté law.
The court found Arnon guilty of defamation against the monarch.
In January of 2021, a lawyer filed a complaint to the Crime Suppression Division against Arnon following his Facebook post on January the 1st and 3rd.
The posts were claimed to contain distorted information with the intent to insult the royal institution. This, in turn, has led Arnon to be summoned to court on June the 23rd and subsequently charged with 4 years in prison.
Previously, Arnon had also been sentenced to 4 years and fined 20,000 baht in a separate royal defamation case involving a rally in 2020.
Despite criticism from international human rights groups, the law has been used to prosecute the Thai public, with at least 262 people charged since 2020, according to Legal and Group.
Thailand's Lèse-majesté law protects the monarch from criticism, carrying a maximum sentence of 15 years behind bars for each perceived insult. And with this new sentence, Arnon will now be behind bars for a total of 8 years. More updates out of Thailand as at least 23 people have now been killed in a fireworks factory explosion that took place in Thailand's central province of Suphanburi on Wednesday afternoon.
Rescuers currently are working on the site, but thus far found no survivors.
Explosive ordnance disposal teams are also on the site investigating what may have triggered the explosion. Wathara Deputy Superintendent of the Suphanburi Provincial Police Station. A silver lining is that the factory is located in the middle of a rice field, so the casualties were limited to workers in the factory.
15 นาฬิกากว่าก็รู้ข่าวก็เลยโทรถามญาติว่าพี่ไปทำงานที่อื่นเปล่าพอรู้ว่าไม่ได้ไปอยู่ที่นี่ก็เขาบอกตายหมดก็ไงก็สูญเสียทั้งหมดครับทั้งพี่ชายพี่สะใภ้หมดก็เสียใจก็ไม่อยากให้เกิดขึ้นก็เคยเตือนเขาแล้วครับไม่ให้เขามาทำแต่เขาอยากทำก็เลยเกิดการสูญเสียขึ้นเขาไม่ฟังเลย
พื้นที่นี้นะครับเราช่วงประมาณบ่าย 3:30 เนี่ยเราได้รับแจ้งเหตุว่ามีการโรงงานพลุระเบิดนะครับเราก็ลงพื้นที่มาตรวจสอบนะครับปรากฏว่าที่เนี่ยเป็นโรงงานที่ประกอบพลุดอกไม้เพลิงซึ่งขออนุญาตถูกต้องนะครับแต่ว่าเราก็ยังพิสูจน์ทราบอยู่ว่าเหตุที่เกิดขึ้นที่มันระเบิดเนี่ยเพราะว่าจากเหตุอะไรนะครับในเบื้องต้นก็ตรวจสอบว่ารับแจ้งว่ามีผู้ที่เสียชีวิตในที่เกิดเหตุนะครับที่เราพบศพก็จะประมาณ20 กว่ารายนะครับตอนนี้ก็อยู่ระหว่างที่การเก็บร่างของผู้เสียชีวิตนะครับแล้วก็รอทางเจ้าที่พิสูจน์หลักฐานเข้าพื้นที่เพื่อจะหาพยานหลักฐานว่าเคยเกิดอะไรขึ้นในพื้นที่เกิดเหตุครับ
Well, the Lunar New Year is just around the corner, hence that's why fireworks is in a strong demand right now. And people places like Thailand and across Southeast Asia where there's a lot of factories, now they're really working towards that goal and to provide these fireworks. Hence, fireworks accident is just very uncommon in Thailand. For instance, like you were mentioned before, Paul, that last year of July 2022, at least 12 people were killed, 121 others injured in an explosion of a firework warehouse in southern village of Muno. More than 100,000 or 100 houses were damaged in the blast. Now, of the current situation and these casualties, police said the fireground area had been put out and that rescue workers and forensic officers are working to retrieve human remains. But as we mentioned before, that as of far right now, there are no survivors yet to be found. And Prime Minister Sreta Thavisin is briefed of the explosion while at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and ordered an urgent investigation for this explosion that happened right now.
But by the way, I found out on New Year's Eve here in Jakarta that I was looking for just little fireworks and sparklers for the kids, and then I couldn't find anything at all. And then I asked somebody, and they said, "Oh no, the police had announced that they're not allowing any fireworks this year." I don't know. You're in touch with law enforcement. Do you know the reasoning behind that? Is it for safety as well? Because I thought about it. My kid was a bit disappointed, obviously, but then I thought about it. I thought, well, perhaps it's not such a bad thing because fireworks are quite dangerous if not handled properly. There were great fireworks here in central Jakarta, but those are done, and that was
officially done by the
professionals. Correct. So again, these accidents, very tragic that it has to happen, but lucky in this incident so far, there had been no people that have been affected that have been living in the area as well.
Money, why is you're burning money?
That's true.
Yes.
From a business perspective. Thank you for that as well, Ali. You're right.
So your story, China on Thursday urged the Philippines to stop what it deemed wrong words and deeds on the Taiwan issue.
Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. congratulated Taiwan's President-elect Lai Ching-te and drew criticism from China.
The Philippines Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. on Wednesday accused Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning of insulting the president at the Daily Presser by advising Marcos to read more to develop a proper understanding of the ins and outs of the Taiwan question.
Mao's remarks were deemed low and gutter-level talk, and Mao refuted Teodoro's complaints on Thursday, arguing that the Philippines' remark seriously violates the One China principle and grossly interfered in China's internal affairs. Marcos Jr. congratulated Taiwan's president-elect on Monday, saying in a statement shared on social media that he was looking forward to close collaboration as well as strengthening mutual interests.
China claims Taiwan as its own territory to be recovered by force if necessary and angrily condemns statements that appear to confer legitimacy on the island's government.
非方言论严重违反一个中国原则和中非建交公报，严重违背非方对中方所做的政治承诺，粗暴干涉中国内政。中方表明严正立场是完全正当和必要的。一个中国原则是红线，也是底线。任何人在台湾问题上挑衅，中方都绝不接受，必将坚决回击。我们敦促非方切实遵守中非建交公报精神，恪守一个中国原则，停止在涉台问题上的错误言行。
Folks, we're now into the third hour of our program. It's time for another short break, but a quick reminder before we do so not to forget to follow our social media platforms. If you haven't already, you can find us either on Instagram, x.com, or YouTube at CToday News. Coming up next, we are going to have a deep dive into the upcoming matchup for the AFC Asian Cup between Indonesia and Vietnam. Stay tuned.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable through such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go.
A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty only on Indonesia.
Bahkan brosurnya aja Pak, saya udah pelan-pelanin jalan. Ditegur, Mas cepetan gitu. Dia bisa baca perilaku kamu. Selanjutnya mau baca tarot nggak? Iya.
Oh iya, Sa.
Mana tangan kamu?
Keren banget, mau Om.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Ini lebih ke klasik modern sih Mas ya, dibandingkan yang regular Z900 nakednya.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Welcome back to the Morning Show, everyone. It's time for Sports Talk. We're going to talk a little bit of football as the chairman of the Football Association of Indonesia, or PSSI, Erick Thohir, has urged the Garuda squad to focus on their upcoming Asian Cup matchup against Vietnam. PSSI Chairman Erick Thohir has hopes that the Indonesian national team can win against Vietnam on Friday. He also stated that there will be a significant amount of bonuses for the Garuda squad should they be able to progress to the next stage of the Asian Cup in Qatar by defeating Vietnam and Japan. Thohir went on to say that major achievements by Indonesia should be appreciated with bonuses.
Ya maunya menang, kan tadi bilang poinnya kita harus cari 4 poin dari mana. Ya, sama Vietnam seri, sama Jepang menang, wah luar biasa. Luar biasa dong. Hah?
Amin, amin.
Tiba-tiba sama Vietnam menang, sama Jepang menang, oh alhamdulillah, itu bonus. Itu bonus gede, ya nggak? Jangan dibalik itu, belum ada prestasi bicara bonus terus. Lo bener dong, fair nggak? Hah? Ada hasil, pasti bonus, apalagi Pak Jokowi. Kemarin SEA Games bonus, ya nggak? Nah, cuman saya mau jangan dibalik gitu. Ya, kalau sama Vietnam, sama Jepang menang, bonus gede. Nah.
Well, money is certainly a good incentive. I'm sure my colleague Alin will agree. Now, let's discuss more about Indonesia's chances in their second match of the AFC Asian Cup and what strategies are on the table. We're now joined by Ruang Taktik tactical analyst and also friend of the program, Muhammad Yusuf Raihan, with us on Sports Talk. Good morning, Mas Raihan. Thank you for being here. Good to see you again.
For the opportunity.
Seems like we're always meeting under these circumstances.
Yeah.
So let's, before we actually start analyzing and predicting the tactic for tonight's game, I want to talk a little bit about the first match that took place in Group D. Indonesia lost 3-1 against Iraq, and Vietnam lost 4-2 to Japan. Let's first delve into Indonesia's loss against Iraq, 3-1. What's your take?
So yeah, I thought it was a very solid performance actually on the pitch, but you know...
Good first half?
Yeah,
decent
good first half, yeah, decent as well. But you know, the result actually didn't really go to plan. So we targeted 4 points from this group stages, and the most likely scenario is that if we are going to get those 4 points, is that a draw against Iraq, a win against Vietnam, and most likely a loss against Japan, right?
Right.
But
that
now...
that would be ideal.
That is out of the window right
okay.
now. So, you know, it's not the most ideal thing, but the performance was really solid, and it was at times very impressive against a strong Iraq side as well. So, yeah, it was not disappointing. It was not really disappointing, but you know, there are some things that can be better as well.
Okay, I agree with you that I think there were some positives to be taken, especially from the first half. But many Indonesian football fans and my friends agreed as well that it's always the second half that seems to be a little bit disappointing for us.
Yeah,
right?
It's always the concentration levels.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about Vietnam. They actually lost 4-2 against Japan. What was your take on that match?
Yeah, it's actually similar as well against like Indonesia. Their performance was really solid. So I thought they played really well against Japan, and especially they went up 2-1 at a point.
At 1 point.
Yeah, so they were actually playing really well. They tried to play their way as well, try to have the ball in their half and try to build up constructively. So they're not really rushed in terms of how they play. And yeah, that determination, that braveness to play such a way against one of the best teams in probably the world right now, Japan, is something that is, you know, such a huge positive for Vietnam.
Yeah, so I would say despite the scoreline, they would still be confident despite the actual result itself. Okay, so now let's talk about tonight's matchup. Let's analyze things a little bit, and let's talk a little bit of offensive and defensive strategies. What will we likely see come tonight's match?
Yeah, so first off, I am going to talk about this screenshot from the 25th minute, where I am going to highlight 2 things.
Okay.
So first off, here, this is Nguyen Dinh Bach, who is playing as most likely like the wide midfielder or the attacking midfielder. So usually you would find him in these spaces.
Correct.
But here, he is dropping really deep and wide here to, you know, attract this man. So he has to go pick up this guy. And here is where things get interesting. So this is actually the wing back.
Okay.
You would probably find wing backs here, right?
Right, farther back, right.
Yeah, but he is coming inside here, and this is where the space is opened up here. So, you know, you can see that there's a lot of spaces. So if he can turn in behind, then they can progress the ball pretty easily. But here, what we see is that the center mid here, Wataru Endo, he is aware of where the ball is going to go from here. And he is going to pick up this man. So this is why awareness will be key. Because, you know, there's a lot of these free movements from the number 10 here, from Nguyen Dinh Bach, who is playing as the attacking midfielder here. He is going to drop really deep to attract this guy and then leave open space here. But because of this awareness of the center, of one of the center midfielders, the space can be closed down. And I think that is something that has to be studied for Indonesia against Vietnam.
How effective was this against Japan? I mean, you did mention that they were quite aware of this and picked them up pretty quickly. Was this implemented to its full effect, or was Japan just too good?
Yeah, Japan was. I think that is something that is Japan excels at, which is awareness, which is tactical discipline, and they read this pretty well actually.
Okay.
So they did not give Japan a lot of trouble by doing these stuffs. But something.
Do you think then, in turn, this could be something that could be exploited against Indonesia?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think, well, we're going to see here that this is the main difference, I think. Indonesia here, you know, same case. So not a lot of difference. So you can see here that this is a striker who is probably should be playing here, right? But he is going wide, and that attracts Alken Baggett to have to defend out wide here. And that leaves a lot of space here. And you can see that this fullback, usually you would see a fullback running down the wings, right?
Right.
But he is going to come here in the half spaces. And that is where this guy, one of the double pivot, he has to be more aware. He has to be here, I think. Because you know, you have to close down the area better. You have to be there faster in order to close down the spaces. And this is the aftermath. He can get into this this area.
Couple steps ahead.
Yeah, a couple steps ahead. And that Alken Baggett has to make the tackle. And he actually got a yellow card from this. And it's still in the, like, what, first minute?
Oh,
so
wow.
concentration
Yeah.
levels.
I didn't notice that.
It has to improve. And, you know, because Alken Baggett got a yellow card very early in the game, he has to be more careful in his play, and that definitely affects Indonesia's gameplay.
This would be speak to the awareness that you're speaking of. Alken Baggett has to be aware of these sort of spaces that are now being exploited.
And communication as well. So the backline has to, you know, give this guy instructions. That
whose responsibility would it be from the backline then?
So I would say like every single one of them. Actually, just, you know,
just good communication all
Good
around.
communication, because here you can see the spaces here is too wide as well. So, and we can also see in the next example as well. So this is in the build-up for Iraq's first goal actually. So you can see here where, there's just too much space here, and that is not exactly just one player's fault. So this kid, he has to pick up his mans, because, you know, you just cannot leave him out wide here, right? Because if you leave him out wide here, then they can just play the ball here. So he has to pick up his man. And here, I think that, you know, one of the double pivots here, he has to be, you know, more aware, more on their foot to close down the space here. So if they can, you know, deny the ball here, then the first goal wouldn't have happened. And here as well, you know, you have to be more aware of what's behind you, because he is not closing down anything, right? He's just most likely watching here.
Right.
And because of that lack of awareness, lack of communication, I think that is where the problem lies here for Indonesia, especially against Iraq.
Okay, and you know, and it was mentioned as well by PSSI Chairman Erick Thohir, and with the examples that you gave, it seems like Indonesia was caught a lot on our heels, and we were trying to do a lot of catch-up, and a lot of that was put on our defensive line. We spoke a little bit off air, and you mentioned as well personally that, you know, our defense just has to do better. Is that a possibility against Vietnam, a strong Vietnam side?
Yeah, I think,
what needs to be better exactly, like specifically?
I think that the main thing is that you need to be more disciplined in your defensive organization. So here, you can also see that there is a lot of space between the lines here. So if we can draw the first defensive line and the second, so here, maybe here.
Okay.
So there's a lot of space here.
Okay, I got it.
That is the main difference between Indonesia and Vietnam. So here is the most prime example. So Vietnam, will play a very high line. This is like,
Look at
you can
that.
see nearly the halfway line.
Right.
And that meant that they can squeeze down the space, a lot of space actually, because here the keeper will sweep up anything that goes in behind. So they have to just take care of their area here. So here, here, here. And
they're basically making the entire space just a lot smaller and a lot tighter, right?
Yeah. So you can see that there's pretty much no space between the lines. And if someone receives it here, then someone can close him down easily here, because yeah, it takes a couple of seconds to get the ball here, right? So yeah, I think that one of the main strengths of Vietnam is their defensive organization and communication, which is the polar opposite for
Which does not bode well for us in this matchup. Okay.
So yeah, here you can see that a very high line as well, which makes it tough as well for Japan, right? So they have to time their runs better, and yeah, I think that.
And they're playing 5 in that line.
Yeah, they're playing with a 5-4-1. I think they might be more aggressive as well against Indonesia. I think that these white midfielders would probably be a lot higher against Indonesia, because they're going to exploit our, they're going to test our ball playing abilities, our composure at the back, and test if they can win the ball up high and, launch a direct attack.
Okay.
But now we're going to take a look at the next one. So here is how I think that we can adopt some of how Japan tried to break down Vietnam's defensive line, which is, I think the main thing here is the center back carrying the ball really bravely. And here you can see he is above, or he is now on the opposition half, right?
Right.
So he has to be brave, right, in doing so. And what that makes is, this guy, he is going to be in a bit of a dilemma. So he has to make a decision whether to cover for this man,
or pick him up.
This man, or pick him up.
Right.
So I think that by just dribbling it forwards, by one of our center backs dribbling it forwards, it makes a lot of
a little bit of pressure on him,
a little bit of pressure for him.
Okay.
And actually, what played out is that the ball went to here, and here he is in a lot of spaces. So another element is that we have to be excellent and quick to make a decision in the spaces in between the lines, because there is not a lot of time here. When a guy receives the ball here, then he can come in.
Right. And in this case, I'm assuming that the midfielder actually pushed up and was able to get that space through.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what he did is he played the ball quickly behind the defensive line. So another element that is going to be important as well is these two players who are in support of him, they have to make the runs as well. So if he receives the ball but these guys are lazy, then it will come to nothing.
Okay. Is that a key to beating a strong defensive line then, is just confidently pushing through and being able to coordinate with your teammates in order to push through and get over top of it?
100%.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that is what was shown by Indonesia in a couple of moments. I think that we did really well actually in forming these wide triangles in order to make combination plays. And especially on the right-hand side, I think Jakob, this guy is, I think, one of the best performers in the Iraq game. And yeah, I think these wide triangles will be very important. I think that maybe here, this Quirido, he's going to play an important role as well in the game if we are going to break down Vietnam's really disciplined defensive organization. And yeah, I think the wide spaces here will be important if we want to win.
Okay, so let's, you mentioned some of the players that performed well. Let's talk about some of the key players. Who do you think some of the key players will be for this next matchup against for Vietnam against Indonesia?
So I have gone for two teenagers actually.
Okay.
So here
young ones.
we have Marcelino Ferdinand, who I think was the best performer in the game against Iraq, maybe in the whole game as well.
Of course.
Scoring a goal.
Right.
And very active defensively as well. As you can see, 5 tackles plus interceptions and 4 ball recoveries, and very brave with the ball, you know, because he has the ability to come out of tight spaces with the ball, and he has 2 take-ons to his name, 100% win rate. But something that can be improved upon is his decision making to make quicker passes, to make the more simpler passes, because he kind of tries a little bit too much at times. And now with Vietnam, I think this guy, Nguyen Dinh Bach, who scored the goal as well against Japan with that incredible header from the corner. Yeah, I think he is very similar to Marcelino Ferdinand. Both are young teenagers who are fearless and shows their youthful energy on the pitch. And I think these two will be important for their respective teams if they are going to win. But I've heard that Dinh Bach is training separately, so he might miss out on this game. But because I think this is such a crucial game, maybe Philippe Troussier will risk playing him.
Okay. And let's quickly have a look at the other match, because it does bear relevance on who is going to make it through to the next round between Japan and Iraq. What are the chances? I mean, we know how strong Japan is. Does Iraq have a chance to catch them off guard and surprise the Samurai Blue?
Well, I think Japan is now on form. They're probably like top 5 national teams in the world. I think they have scored 4 past Germany in a friendly, right? Not too long ago. So they're really good. I think that they are the favorites for a reason.
For sure.
And, I don't see any scenario where Iraq can win this game. Maybe at best they can nick a draw against them. But most likely, I think a Japan win is on the cards.
Okay. Now, we'll now take a look at the formations, perhaps. Both Indonesia and Vietnam have similar squad depth and capabilities as well. What lineups do you think they're going to be playing on both sides?
Yeah, so I think that this is how both teams will line up in the game tonight. So, a very similar formation, but I am not too sure with Indonesia, because Shin Tae-yong has a lot of surprises.
Always.
And so basically a similar team with the match against Iraq, but probably here is the only change, I would say. So Shane Patinama will come in for Pratama Arhan, because I think Shin Tae-yong will want to risk it, because maybe he is not in the prime match fitness, but because this is such a crucial game, I think he has to risk playing Shane Patinama. And for Vietnam, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of changes, but I think that their defensive plan, it will be probably more aggressive than how they played against Japan.
Okay. Now, speaking of crucial, I mean, this is a very crucial match. It's basically make or break against Vietnam, but Indonesia tends to struggle when we face Vietnam, right? There's 3 losses and 2 draws since 2019. So I'm going to put you on the hot seat. What's your prediction for tonight? And a score?
The realistic side of me thinks that it's going to be a draw.
Okay.
I think probably 1-1 is the most realistic.
I think so too. I would be happy with a 1-1 draw, to be honest.
Yeah, but the fan side of me thinks that these players are not bad. They're decent, And if you compare them individually, we might be better, these players. And I think that tournament, it depends on a lot of magic. It depends on a lot of luck as well.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So it's not impossible for us to win again.
Okay. And you did say one win, one loss, and one draw would actually be ideal. We already had our loss.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if we get a win tonight, we could perhaps draw against Japan. Now, we got your prediction. Let's have a look at some of our netizens' predictions as well that we have gathered. We've just put up 3 of them for you right here on the big board. There's Glovery 001 that says 2-1 Indo win. Ooh. And we have Opang Ping Pong who says 3-2. Wow, 3 goals for Indonesia. And we have another 3-2 scoreline for Indonesia against Vietnam from Hai Nastati. Thank you for our netizens for giving us that positivity. I'm sure our national team would be happy to know that we actually believe that we can win this match again.
But not a lot of faith in the defense, right? No clean sheet.
No. Well, we're gonna get a couple of goals against us, it seems. So maybe they are a bit realistic about that as well. So, Lasayan, enjoy the game tonight. We hope to catch up with you again, perhaps after a win. Yeah. Because that way we can predict what's coming up against Japan. All right. We're gonna now take a short break here on the program, but in case you joined us late, we're gonna recap some of our earlier stories for you when we return. Thanks.
Awalnya nggak tahu kalau itu kanker tulang. Divonisnya harus amputasi, baru tahu. Gasan, papa kan kakinya 1, Gasan kan kakinya 2, Gasan jalannya biasa. Papa juga punya kaki robot.
Maaf Kang Dani, Anda menganggap tetap ini sebagai sebuah kebaikan dari Allah?
Jangan sampai disia-siakan kesempatan itu. Saksikan kisah saya, Dr. Gigi Muhammad Nur Ramadhani, di Teman Bicara Maman.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking debt to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Kak Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku depotsi.
Ya, aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Maris.
Pemain.
Ini lebih ke klasik modern sih Mas ya, dibandingkan yang regular Z900 naked-nya.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Hello folks, so welcome back to our program. We have some features across Indonesia, and this one is regards food. Love is perfect for this weather right now. In the village of Karangjayalukit in Tasikmalaya Regency of in Tasikmalaya Regency, where there is a food or a vocational high school that reflects and also garden some golden melons. We're going to talk more about this as both teachers and students from this high school have successfully grown a substantial crop of thousands of golden melon. Let's check it out.
Teachers and students from a vocational high school in Karangjaya Village, Tasikmalaya Regency, West Java, have embarked on an innovative project by cultivating 2,000 golden melons in a former paddy field. This initiative was carried out in a collaboration with local youth farmers from Sirna Jaya Village. The process began with selecting the seeds, followed by the treatment process, and then seeking buyers or consumers. The purpose of these steps was to educate students about the business world and to provide them with opportunities for the future after graduating from high school. In a single harvest season, they can yield 3 tons of golden melons.
Golden melon ini mempunyai nilai ekonomi yang tinggi. Jadi anak-anak itu supaya termotivasi untuk mengembangkan ketika mereka sudah lulus sekolah. Dan supaya anak-anak tahu bagaimana caranya. Emang agak susah merawat golden melon. Kalau bisa merawat golden melon, insya Allah tanaman lain juga mungkin agak enteng lah. Karena orang lain pakai greenhouse, kami di konvensional.
According to one student, this initiative has been personally valuable as it has taught her how to plant and market the fruit.
Jadi yang ke-1, saya dapat pengalaman bisa menanam melon. Tadinya tidak bisa, alhamdulillah sekarang pelan-pelan sudah terbiasa bisa. Diajarkan tentang membudidayakan melon, lanjut memasarkan. Pemasarannya antara diecer, lalu di supplier gitu. Rencana sih kalau ada modal, insya Allah mau dijalankan.
This particular melon variety can be harvested after 60 days. For the upcoming harvesting season, the school plans to open the field to the public, allowing them to buy and pick the golden melons themselves. See Today contributor reporting from Tasikmalaya, West Java.
Definitely a very productive program, especially between teachers and also students of the vocational high school in village of Karangjaya, that is in Tasikmalaya Regency, West Java, where they successfully grown a substantial crop of golden melons in the area. Kudos for them. Now, next up, have you ever tried eating Indonesian chicken noodles, or popularly known as mie ayam, but this time in a mortar? It might sound very unusual, but there is a food stall in Pangkal Pinang City, Bangka Belitung Islands that offers this unique experience. Let's take a look and also a taste.
This rainy season, perfect time to enjoy a warm and comforting meal like chicken noodles or mie ayam. Normally, this dish is served in a bowl. However, in Pangkal Pinang City, Bangka Belitung Islands, there is a noodle stall offering a unique twist to enjoy mie ayam. The warmth of the mortar enhances the aroma, making the dining experience truly appetizing. The ingredients include chicken meat, chicken feet or ceker, egg, and more. The preparation process is quite simple. First, the chosen toppings are cooked in a mortar. While waiting for them to cook, the noodles are boiled until they reach a chewy texture. Next, the boiled noodles are placed in a mortar and stirred evenly. Once everything is cooked, the ayam are ready to be served. A steaming hot serving of mie ayam, uniquely presented in the still boiling mortar. No need for extra chili and sauce, as everything is perfectly fused during the cooking process.
Rasanya unik,
yang dari teksturnya juga kenyal, banyak rempah-rempahnya juga kerasa, ditambah lagi dengan ceker dan bumbu lainnya juga. Ini unik karena yang biasanya kan sering dijumpai mie ayam pakai mangkok. Nah, ini disajikannya dengan cobek yang masih panas.
Kalau ini namanya mie ayam manter, cuman karena memang dia ada wadah gaminya, jadi dia masaknya itu dipanasin di atas kompor. Jadi namanya mie ayam wadah gami gitu. Kalau kita racikannya banyak rempah-rempah dari khas Bangka. Kalau mie ayamnya sendiri udah jalan sekitar 4 bulan. Cuman di sini kita baru pindah ke tempat baru udah jalan 2 bulanan. Karena wadah gami ini jadi biar makannya itu lebih berselera. Jadi memang kita sajikan itu memang lagi panas-panas mendidih. Kita angkat dari atas kompor jadi menggugah selera orang buat makannya. Alhamdulillah sudah 2 bulan di sini peminat dari masyarakat Bangka udah banyak banget di sini. Untuk satu harinya juga kita udah di atas 200 porsi, jadi lumayan untuk peminatnya.
This mie ayam stall sell more than 200 portions daily. If you are eager to try this delicious noodle dish, you can find it at the Lapak UKM in Jalan Ican Saleh, Batin Tikal Village, Taman Sari Subdistrict, Pangkal Pinang City. This mie ayam costs between 15,000 to 20,000 rupiah per portion. See Today contributor reporting from Pangkal Pinang, Bangka Belitung Islands.
All right, I think I know what I'm gonna have for lunch today. Some very hot mie ayam. Noodle soup, love that. All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we return, Paul Palala is ready for the latest update from the world of sports. Don't go anywhere.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar dia itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Awalnya nggak tahu kalau itu kanker tulang. Divonisnya harus amputasi, baru tahu. Gasan, papa kan kakinya 1, Gasan kan kakinya 2, Gasan jalannya biasa. Papa juga punya kaki robot.
Maaf Kang Dani, Anda menganggap tetap ini sebagai sebuah kebaikan dari Allah?
Jangan sampai disia-siakan kesempatan itu. Saksikan kisah saya, Dr. Gigi Muhammad Nur Ramadhani, di Teman Bicara Maman.
Bahkan brosurnya aja Pak, saya udah pelan-pelanin jalan. Ditegur, Mas cepetan gitu. Dia bisa baca perilaku kamu sekalian. Kita mau baca tarot nggak? Iya.
Oh iya, Sar.
Mana tangan kamu?
Keren banget. Mau, Om.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like, you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different when baguette. So with those appetite and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
A group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Welcome back to the C Morning Show. Just in time for a quick sports recap, as Indonesia has one of its representatives in the quarterfinals of the 2024 India Open, as Anthony Sinisuka Ginting defeated Japan's Kenta Nishimoto in the round of 16. During the round of 16 at KD Jaduf's indoor hall in New Delhi on Thursday afternoon, Indonesian shuttler Anthony Sinisuka Ginting defeated Kenta Nishimoto of Japan in 2 games, 21-8, 21-17 in 40 minutes of play. This win has now allowed Ginting to become the first Indonesian through to the quarterfinals, where he will next face Hong Kong's Lee Chuk-yu. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Indonesian men's single shuttler Jonathan Christie has been eliminated in the round of 16 as he lost 21-15 and 21-13 to Malaysia's Lee Zijia. The Indonesian mixed doubles team also suffered a loss during the round of 16 as Rehan Naufal Kusharyanto and Lisa Ayu Kusumawati were defeated by Ye Hong Wei and Li Chia-shin of Chinese Taipei 10-21, 21-10, and 21-16. Indonesia still has a chance to book another spot in the quarterfinals with the men's doubles team of Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto, who are set to play later today. In football news, chairman of the Indonesian Football Association, or PSSI, have signed a memorandum of understanding with Abdi Waluyo Hospital in Jakarta on Thursday morning. Within the MOU, both parties have agreed to monitor the physical and mental well-being of the Indonesian national team and build a hospital near the PSSI training center in the new capital city of Nusantara. The MOU signing was also attended by a representative of the Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing, SC Asia, and witnessed by PSSI Vice Chairman Zainuddin Amali.
Dalam membangun tentu tim nasional, tidak hanya tadi kita mempersiapkan jenjang daripada persiapan dari usia dini, tentu yang juga junior dan sampai senior, tetapi tidak kalah pentingnya bahwa mereka juga harus didampingi yang namanya sport science, sport medicine, karena kita tahu sekarang banyak juga atlet yang berkembang itu karena tidak hanya karena talenta, tapi justru bagaimana ditingkatkan kemampuannya dan didampingi secara kesehatannya. Nah, karena itu Pak Waketum sejak awal ya melakukan juga investasi bagaimana persiapan untuk alat-alat fitness, alat-alat kesehatan yang sedang mudah-mudahan tidak lama lagi diresmikan ya. Tetapi secara bersamaan juga waktu itu ketika saya di IKN bersama Pak Presiden dan Pak Basuki melihat sebuah peluang bagaimana beberapa rumah sakit yang di sana juga bisa bekerja sama dengan kami PSSI yang kebetulan training centernya ini insya Allah di bulan Juni saya rasa bisa mulai dipakai TC oleh tim junior kita.
In other football news, goalkeeper Khalid Asa produced a fine performance between the posts as the United Arab Emirates earned a 1-1 draw against Palestine in Group C of the AFC Asian Cup on Thursday, despite playing the majority of the match with only 10 men. Sultan Adil headed UAE in front midway through the first half. However, Khalifa Al-Hamadi hauled down Odai Dabah to concede a penalty. He was shown a straight red card in the 37th minute by referee Ahmad Alali after a VAR review. Tamir Sayyam's spot kick was initially saved by Asa, but the shot stopper was then beaten 4 minutes into the second half when teammate Badir Nasser headed a cross from Sayyam into his own net. However, Asa held firm for the rest of the match to deny Palestine a second goal and what would have been their maiden win in an Asian Cup match. And we're going to continue bringing you all the latest updates and highlights from the AFC Asian Cup in later days. In the meantime, we're going to take our final break here on the C Morning Show. But do stick around. We have your final batch of entertainment news coming up next.
The beauty and the excitement of being there, indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we?
Come on in.
We found them.
Where people come and go. A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on See Indonesia.
Bahkan brosurnya aja Pak, saya udah pelan-pelanin jalan. Ditegur, Mas cepetan gitu. Dia bisa baca perilaku kamu sekalian. Kita mau baca tarot nggak? Iya.
Oh iya, Sir.
Mana tangan kamu?
Keren banget. Mau, Om.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Ini lebih ke klasik modern sih Mas ya, dibandingkan yang regular Z900 nakednya.
Alright guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking debt to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Welcome back to C Morning Show. It's our last segment. We have entertainment story for you, and our first story is about a Korean concert in Indonesia. Yes, soloist IU from South Korea formally announced her world tour, which features several countries including Indonesia. Let's take a look at the video. At the end of 2019, IU fulfilled her promise by holding her Love Home concert tour in Jakarta due to the tremendous enthusiasm among fans. IU stated that at the tennis indoor Senayan concert stage that she wanted to return to Jakarta, Indonesia.
No surprise there, as IU has immense fame here in Indonesia. And to Indonesian fans, IU is more than just a singer, songwriter, or composer. She's also known as an actress in many iconic Korean dramas, as I'm sure Alin can attest to, with high ratings such as Dream High and Hotel de Luna. And as it turns out, IU is keeping her promise and will hold a world tour on April the 27th to 28th, 2024 at the International Convention Exhibition, or ICE, in BSD City, South Tangerang.
In addition to her global hits such as Good Day, Celebrity, BB, Palette, and many more, IU's brand new tracks from the upcoming album will be played at her world tour. All this will be accompanied by a number of performances and beautiful encores that are a signature of IU concert.
Have you seen, by the way, Dream High and Hotel de Luna?
I watched Hotel de Luna as well as the movie with Park Seo-joong.
Ah, so she is. And is she a good actress?
Yeah.
Better actress or singer?
Oh, she's fantastic in both.
Ah, there you go. Multi-talented.
There you go. Yes.
All right, and after officially announcing her world tour, IU began promoting her most recent comeback album with the pre-release single, Love Wins. The song will be released alongside a music video featuring V from BTS on January the 24th.
So, P, we were discussing about IU with Carol, right?
Yes.
We thought that IU, we can say that she is the Taylor Swift of the South Koreans.
Is that
Yeah.
Okay.
Of our region, definitely, for sure. She's beautiful.
Yeah. Would you be interested in checking out the concert when she returns?
I don't know.
I know you're not really like a concert person,
Yeah, I
right?
love drama. I'm not really
know.
concert.
If she's coming here for like a new movie, you would definitely be there on the premiere, right?
Yeah.
Premiere movie?
Maybe. I think I'm entering an age where I don't want to put a lot of effort, you know.
Sitting comfortably
to
at your
sit at home and just flick
Picking
that
up my 40
I'm with
decade,
All right.
my fourth decade.
Okay, well then, as a tribute to IU, we usually have like recommendations. Today, I'm only going to ask Alin, what is the best recommendation to watch when it comes to either K-drama, like movie or series? What's your favorite?
You should watch, Welcome to Samdori on Netflix.
Is that a series or a movie?
Series, of
okay.
course. And for another series, we have Marry My Husband on Prime Video.
Okay, is that a romantic comedy,
The
drama?
one is fantasy, a revenge plot. So this
I love revenge
become
stories.
a new trend in the South Korea. Usually when we depict a betrayal in the marriage, right?
Yes.
It is portrayed in such sadness, gloom.
Yeah.
But this one being wrapped and delivered in a fun, sweet way.
Oh, nice. Because I saw one on Netflix, it's called Love, Marriage, and Divorce. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
That one is scary in a way.
Or the world of the married, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, oh my
the word,
gosh.
The word divorce scares me just by itself.
Yeah, so this one is fantasy based on webtoon. So this lady was murdered by her husband and her best friend who
We're having an
cheated, having an affair. But then, like, plot twist, she was given a time to return back 10 years before.
Knowing what she knows now.
You know
Very
the ending? Would you take
interesting.
different approach to your life?
I definitely would.
Yes.
So one of the message here, do not ignore red flags.
There you
in
go,
relationship,
guys. Thank you for the
know?
recommendations, Alan. I'm sure we have plenty of K-drama fans out there that'll take to that. Anyway, that just about wraps it up for our entertainment segment. In fact, that wraps it up for our entire program here on this gloomy yet fun Friday morning on the C Morning Show. Make sure to also follow us on our social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, X, and our YouTube channel at C Today News.
Definitely, See Today can now be enjoyed in Australia on Foxtel's OTT platform, Flash app, or in Macau Cable TV channel 84. Or if you're in the Philippines, you can also watch the Converge Vision channel 58 and Singtel Singapore channel 15.
For Telkomsel users, you can also watch See Today on the Maxstream app. Don't forget to also tune in again tomorrow, same time, same channel, and be sure to also catch our afternoon show every day at 5 p.m. I'm Alin Ratmaja.
And I'm Caroline Surahmat.
And I'm Paul Palelli. We'd like to sign off by saying, see Indonesia, see the world, see today.
Yes.
stay tuned with me, Chef Rayhan, only on Satisfactory, cook healthy and cook happy. Alright guys, back again with me, Chef Rayhan, only on Satisfactory, cook healthy and cook happy. Today, I'm gonna make some traditional dish from Solo, Indonesia. It's called soup matahari. The ingredients we already have is some of the chicken stock, cornstarch, corn, and then some of the veggies. We have some coriander leaf, spring onion, and also a carrot, some breadcrumbs. For the protein, we have some grind chicken breast. Condiment we added because the shape is like a sun. First, we gotta put chicken. For the chicken breast, we added 3 grams of pepper. Then 6 grams of salt.